LoveLore Library. Chapter 189. I'm going to meet a client at South Ring Road. Oh, I see. Huamin hung up the phone and focused on driving. Chin Chu didn't leave until the car drove into South Side Recuperation Center. Actually, he wasn't meeting a client, he was just worried because it was Huamin's first day driving. Huamin was originally worried that a nurse driving to work would cause gossip. She only realized that she was wrong when she arrived at South Side. The other nurses who came to work all drove luxury cars, such as BMWs, Land Rovers, and Mercedes-Benz GLK. In comparison, her Volkswagen was shabby. Why were the nurses here so rich? The answer was obvious, most of the nurses here were young and beautiful. When they took care of the patients, they were either mistresses or mistresses. Some even provided special services in the hospital. Even President Wu couldn't control this, because the people in the recuperation center were all influential people. If they were willing to buy, they were willing to sell. They had already formed a mature industry chain. Of course, there were also some nurses who were really just nurses, so they had to do dirty and tiring work all day long without earning much money. Huamin was one of those nurses who had a hard time. After she went upstairs, she first reported to the head nurse. The head nurse of Southside Recuperation Center was a woman in her early 30s. She was young and beautiful, and her chest was at least 36D. Her voice was also very gentle, and her name was also very pleasant to the ear. Song Lin. She said, Huamin, I heard about what happened to you and saw you on the news. You saved that pregnant woman and her child. You're amazing. Thank you, head nurse. Work hard here from now on. You just have to remember, you'd rather suffer than offend the patients here. If you remember this, your salary will be very high. Huamin didn't quite understand what she said. Head nurse, I want to ask, which department am I assigned to? Huamin couldn't wait to get to work. The orthopedics department is short on people, so you can help out there for now. Okay, I'll head over now. Wait. Is there anything else? Head nurse. A very important patient was admitted to the orthopedics department yesterday. You have to take care of him carefully when you're on duty. Don't make any mistakes. Don't blame me for not reminding you. If you offend him, even President Wu can't protect you, let alone me. Alright, I'll do my best. Huamin felt that as long as the patient did not deliberately cause trouble, she could pacify them. Most of the patients in the hospital were anxious. This was understandable. After all, they were not feeling well. Therefore, Huamin was very patient. When she was in the obstetrics and gynecology department, she took care of the pregnant women diligently. Patients from the orthopedics department should not have any problems, right? There were a total of 10 VIP wards in the orthopedics department, but there were only 2 patients at the moment. Including Huamin, there were 4 nurses. 2 were on the day shift and 2 were on the night shift, which was just right. The nurse on the day shift with Huamin was a very sweet-looking girl. Her voice was so sweet that it could melt people as soon as she opened her mouth. Huamin thought that she was only 18 or 19 years old. Later, she found out that she was 25 years old, 1 year older than Huamin. Hello, my name is Wang Tingting, the nurse with the childlike voice said with a smile. Hello, Tingting, my name is Huamin. I know, you're very famous. I saw you on TV a while ago. Upon hearing this, Huamin smiled awkwardly. That time on TV was not something to be proud of. Because of this, her mother called her and asked her to quit her job. Jixin also kept sending her WeChat messages. Fortunately, it was resolved. Otherwise, her family would have to worry about her. Did the head nurse tell you that a special patient was admitted to our department yesterday? Chapter 190. Okay. Hua-min nodded. Here's the thing. You don't have enough experience. Go take care of the other one first. That old man is a nice person and won't trouble you. I'll take care of VIP room 1. Okay. Hua-min was very satisfied with the arrangement, although she did not know that it was Tingting's selfish arrangement. There are only 4 people in our department for the time being. Because there aren't many patients, it's enough. The night shift nurses are called Nan Nan and Xiaomei. You'll see them when the shift changes. Okay. If there's no problem, then go. The old man in room 2 slipped and fractured his bones at home. There are 3 steel nails in his knee, so it's not very convenient for him to walk. He needs support. Also, when it's time to eat, prepare vegetarian dishes for him. Don't eat meat. His blood pressure is high. Okay. Hua-min kept all these in mind. It was time for ward rounds, so she went directly to room 2. Before she could say a few words to the old man, she heard banging sounds coming from next door, followed by crying. Hua-min walked out of the ward curiously and saw Tingting standing at the door of room 1. Her eyes were red. What's wrong? It's nothing. Just do what you need to do. Tingting did not seem to want to talk much. Hua-min glanced at the door of room 1 curiously and continued with her work. The old man in room 2 was a retired cadre. It was said that he used to be a staff officer in the security department and was very powerful. He had a serious face. When Hua-min entered, he was reading a novel version of Drawing Sword. Hello, sir. I'm a new nurse. It's time to take your medicine. It's rare to see someone dressed so plainly. The old man glanced at Hua-min and said. Hua-min only realized after the old man's reminder that her work uniform was different from others. Her work uniform was brought from the first hospital. It was a very conservative white coat that was loose and did not have any sense of beauty. However, the nurses here, including the head nurse, Song Lin, were all wearing light pink miniskirts. The most important thing was that the collar was very low. It felt a little like a uniform temptation. After hearing Sir System's words, Hua-min realized that he was dressed differently. During lunch break, the head nurse came over with a set of work clothes. How is it? Are you used to it? Yes, the patient's mood is very stable, and he is recovering well. That's good. Change into your work clothes. This place is different from the first hospital. After speaking, the head nurse took off her pink miniskirt. Head nurse, can I wear my own outfit? Why? Don't you think it's beautiful? No, I just think it's a little revealing. I don't like this style, Hua-min said honestly. The head nurse looked at Hua-min with a complicated expression. I heard that you applied to South Side on your own accord. Yes. Then didn't you come to the Southern District for a meteoric rise? You should dress boldly. Otherwise, which sugar daddy would take a fancy to you? The head nurse was straightforward. Only then did Hua-min realize that the head nurse had misunderstood and thought that she was here to find a sugar daddy. You misunderstood, head nurse. I applied to come here because I wanted a change of working environment. After all, I didn't want to drag the other side down. However, I'm here to work. I didn't expect to find a sugar daddy. Plus, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I see. Alright then, if that's the case, it's up to you. Hearing Hua-min's words, the head nurse took away her work clothes. When it was time for the night shift, the other 2 young nurses came as well. However, Hua-min heard that the 2 of them seemed to be arguing about who should go to room 1. From what he could tell, they both wanted to go to room 1. Hua-min had a feeling that room 1 was probably occupied by someone important. Otherwise, Tingting would not have volunteered to go there in the morning, and the two of them fought over it in the afternoon. In the end, Nan Nan and Xiao Mei played rock, paper, scissors, and Nan Nan lost. Xiao Mei was in a great mood. She did not even eat dinner and went to room 1. That night, Huamin prepared dinner for Qin Chu. Just as he was sitting on the sofa watching TV, he received a call from South Side. Huamin, hurry up and come over. Something happened in our department. After hanging up the phone, Huamin hurriedly grabbed his jacket and went out. He happened to run into Qin Chu downstairs. Where are you going? Something happened at the hospital. I'm going to take a look. Dinner's ready, eat it while it's hot. After speaking, Huamin left in a hurry. Qin Chu looked at the petite figure and was reluctant to part with her until she disappeared. Chapter 191. When Huamin arrived at the hospital, Xiao Mei was nowhere to be seen. Only the head nurse, Nan Nan, and Tingting were there. What happened? Where's Xiao Mei? Isn't she on the night shift? She's injured. Ha! Huamin was a little surprised to hear Tingting say this. Huamin was a little surprised. The head nurse hesitated for a moment before saying, "It's like this, the patient in room 1 is a little irritable." When Xiao Mei was drawing his blood, she was too nervous, her hand trembled, causing the needle to move. In a fit of anger, the patient threw a glass vase at Xiao Mei's head. Xiao Mei was sent to the emergency room of the first hospital. That's terrible, I heard that she had to get 7 stitches on her forehead. I wonder if she'll be disfigured. Nan Nan seemed to be gloating. Tingting pursed her lips and said in a strange tone, I told you that room 1 wasn't that easy to stay in, and you two were fighting over it. Great, now you're in trouble. Xiao Mei's technique was bad to begin with, but she still dared to draw young Master Su's blood. She's asking for it. But it's fine, young Master Su has always been generous. As soon as something happened, his assistant arrived. I heard that Xiao Mei's injury will be compensated according to the number of stitches, 200,000 per stitch, the head nurse said calmly. Tingting and Nan Nan seemed to be jealous, she's so lucky to earn 1.4 million so easily. She even got the money for a Porsche. Looks like Xiao Mei's crappy BMW X1 is finally going to be replaced. Wait a minute, so you're looking for me because... Huamin had already gotten off work. She came here in the middle of the night not to listen to them flaunt their wealth, but to ask how she could help. The head nurse glanced at her and said, the person in room 1 is Su Yu. You must know Su Yu, right? Huamin shook her head. Then, the other 3 looked at Huamin as if they were looking at a monster. Huamin, on the other hand, was calm. There were plenty of big shots in the city that she didn't know, so why would she want to know them? Are you sure? You don't know the head of the 4 princes of the Su family? Are you from the countryside? Tingting was speechless. That's right. Among the 4 young masters, the most famous one is Su Yu, followed by young master Hua Xiqian. You actually don't know him. You must be drunk. Nan Nan also had a mocking look on her face. Huamin really wanted to say that she didn't want to know Hua Xiqian, but she was too lazy to mention it. She didn't want anyone to know about her relationship with the Hua family. So... Su Yu is staying in room 1. So what? Huamin continued to ask. Young Master Su has a bad temper. He strained his ligament when he was racing. It's not a big deal, but the Su family takes it seriously and sent him here last night for treatment. We use the best medicine, and everything he eats is flown in from Australia. We can't make any mistakes when taking care of him. They're still young, so their skills aren't that good. You've been doing clinical trials at the first hospital, especially when you performed a C-section on a pregnant woman. So, drawing blood and giving 4 fluids shouldn't be a problem. We're thinking that you'll be in charge of these needles in the future. After the head nurse finished speaking, Min understood that they wanted her to do these things that no one else dared to do. In other words, the one who was most likely to offend someone was Xiaomei. She didn't do a good job in drawing blood and was smashed by young Master Su and had to get 7 stitches. Therefore, no one else dared to do anything. Thus, they thought of the newcomer, Min. Seeing that Min didn't say anything, the head nurse continued, I won't let you do it for free. I'll ask the higher-ups to give you an extra 200 yuan a day. Yeah. Sister Min, you should agree, right? Otherwise, our department will really be wiped out by young Master Su. Min suddenly understood. Other than being young and beautiful, the other 3 nurses in the department didn't have any experience at all. They didn't even dare to draw blood. Okay, I'll do it. That's great. Seeing that Min agreed, the other 2 young nurses let out a sigh of relief. Then, Sister Min, this is an 4 drip. You can give it to young Master Su. Tingting immediately took out a tray with syringes and an 4 drip. Min changed into a white coat, took the tray, and walked towards room 1. Head nurse, can she do it? A young nurse asked worriedly. Who knows? It depends on her luck. Even if she gets beaten, she won't be beaten for nothing. Young Master Su is super rich. The head nurse smiled. Chapter 192. Min didn't know who Su Yu was, so he wasn't as worried as the other nurses. Tingting had seen how terrifying young Master Su was this morning. He yelled at her during ward rounds, and she burst into tears. Of course, they all had their own selfish motives. They wanted to use their beauty to make young Master Su take pity on them. Why would they want to be nurses? Apparently, it was easy for young Master Su's Imperial Star Entertainment to promote a female star. Currently, 2 of the 4 most popular actresses in China were promoted by Su Yu. In short, he threw money at them. Because Su Yu was so rich, he became popular as soon as he promoted them, not to mention the nurses. Wherever Su Yu went, women would rush to him and throw themselves at him. He was different from Qin Chu. Qin Chu was low-key. Although everyone knew that GK had a prince, not many people had seen him in person. Su Yu, on the other hand, was high-profile, flamboyant, and hot-tempered. He changed women faster than he changed clothes. Not only was he the president of an entertainment company, but the Su family also controlled a lot of economic lifelines. He was one of the top 5 richest people in China for 5 years in a row. When Min walked to the door, Su Yu was on the phone. He had been racing for many years. He had been tinkering with cars since he was 12 or 13. He had never had an accident. This year, for some reason, he was racing in a mountainous area. His car collided with another car, and he tore his ligament. He had to rest at the South Side Recuperation Center for a while. Everyone's expenses were different here, and they were calculated according to their personal conditions. Su Yu's room was a suite. It was more than 100 square meters, and it had all the appliances and furniture. Even the bed was multifunctional. It had a private Wi-Fi network, and the seafood they ate was flown in from Australia. It was said that it cost at least 190,000 yuan a day. It was practically burning money. There were 4 bodyguards in black suits outside the room. They stood there motionless like mummies. Every 8 hours, they would be replaced by another 4 people. Those who knew would think that a rich man lived inside, but those who didn't would think that it was the head of state. It was too grand. It was Min's first time seeing such a high-profile person. When she walked to the door, she had to be scanned, as if she was a female killer. Go in. As soon as Min entered, he saw an unidentified flying object flying over. She reacted quickly and tilted her head to avoid being hit. Then, the thing fell to the ground. It was a silver-gray 6S. Scram. Suyu was not in a good mood. After scolding his assistant on the phone, he said to the person who came in without looking at him. Hwa-min ignored him. He walked over, connected the 4-tube, and hung it up. I told you to scram, didn't you hear me? What if all the patients tell us to leave? Who will take care of you? If you can take care of yourself, why are you here? Do you think a 5-star hotel is enough? Hwa-min said snappily. Suyu frowned slightly. It was the first time in his life that someone dared to speak to him with such an attitude. He wanted to see which nurse was so bold. Was she tired of living? Or was she trying to play hard to get? When he turned around and saw Hwa-min's face, he was stunned. He had seen her before. In his WeChat Moments on TV, it was exposed a while ago. Aren't you the nurse who performed C-sections for pregnant women? Suyu stared at Hwa-min and asked. That's right. Why are you here? Suyu was surprised. Hwa-min did not answer. While he was in a daze, she grabbed his left hand and inserted the needle. By the time Suyu felt a slight sting, she was done. Who told you to give me the 4? Suyu was furious. Don't move, it's not good if the needle rolls, Hwa-min reminded him. Take it away, I don't want an injection. Suyu impatiently reached out to pull out the needle. Then Hwa-min crossed her arms and looked at him. If you're not afraid that I'll give you another injection, go ahead and pull it out. I'm not the one who's in pain anyway. Suyu immediately stopped. He raised his head and looked at Hwa-min with a sullen face. Stupid girl. Do you know who you're talking to? Chapter 193. Hwa-min ignored him and took out a ballpoint pen from the pocket of his white lab coat. He held the medical record in his hand and said, Mr. Suyu, right? Get 2 bottles tonight and I'll draw your blood tomorrow morning. You have to be on an empty stomach, so don't eat anything after 8 p.m. You can drink water. After he finished speaking, Hwa-min walked out. Damn it, get back here. Before Suyu could finish his sentence, Hwa-min had already opened the door and left. This was the first time in his life that someone treated his words like farts. No matter what he said or how angry he got, Hwa-min completely ignored his existence. Are you guys dead yet? Get your ass in here. Suyu's face was filled with rage. One of the bodyguards immediately ran in. Young master, what's the matter? Are you blind? Pick up the phone on the floor, I want to make a complaint. The quality of the nurses in this hospital is too low. Okay. The bodyguard bent down to pick up the phone and handed it to Suyu. Suyu picked it up and saw that the screen was broken. He couldn't make a call. Where's your phone? Give it to me. My phone is charging, the bodyguard replied honestly. Get out, get out. Seeing these idiots, Suyu was even more annoyed. After Hwa-min walked out unscathed, the head nurse and the 2 young nurses were surprised. Hwa-min, are you okay? I'm fine. Hwa-min shook his head. Young Master Su, didn't get angry. I didn't pay attention to his condition, I was only in charge of the 4 drip. Did he get angry? Tingting asked tentatively. Hwa-min shook his head, I'm not sure, I didn't pay attention. Not bad, well done. The head nurse patted Hwa-min's shoulder. Head nurse, I'll go back first. I'll come back tomorrow morning to draw his blood. Alright, go back. Be careful. After Hwa-min left, Tingting thought that Suyu had calmed down a lot, so she pulled down the collar of her nurse uniform. Then, she wiggled her butt and walked in again to deliver dinner. In less than a minute, he was once again thrown out by Suyu. The food was scattered all over the floor. Suyu was angry. Why were the nurses so stupid? He couldn't even do such a small thing. That idiot who drew his blood in the morning, he only stared at his arm. The nurse was so frightened that her hand trembled. It hurt so much that she couldn't bear it. Everyone said that he was angry. But the nurse who had just inserted the needle, her technique was not bad. She only felt a little pain after inserting the needle. News of Suyu throwing a tantrum and overturning the dishes spread. In less than half an hour, Lady Su brought the maid to deliver the food. She was afraid that her son would be wronged, so she scolded the head nurse again. Song Lin scolded her so much that she didn't dare to say a word. After Mrs. Su left, many women came to visit him one after another. There were famous models and actresses. There were socialites and even famous hosts from satellite TV. Without a doubt, they were all here to see Suyu. Everyone brought food. Some of it was made by themselves, while others specially ordered food from Suyu's favorite restaurants. Their methods of fighting for favor were shocking. When Huamin returned home, Qin Chu hadn't eaten yet. He was sitting on the sofa, watching the financial news. Why aren't you eating? Let's eat together. Huamin felt a warmth in his heart. He took off his jacket, washed his hands, and the two sat at the dining table. How was work today? Qin Chu asked casually. Pretty good. But I heard that the South Side Recuperation Center isn't easy. Many nurses get injured for no reason. It seemed like nothing could escape Qin Chu's eyes. Those were just accidents. Take care of yourself. I know. After all, you put a lot of protection on me, Huamin added. Qin Chu couldn't help but smile. It's good that you know. You're busy at work too. Don't worry about me. I'm an adult, I'll be fine. Do you think I'll believe your bullshit? Qin Chu didn't believe that Huamin would take good care of himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been blackmailed and blackmailed. If Qin Chu hadn't stopped him, who knew what would have happened to him? Okay. Huamin knew that he wasn't persuasive enough. Oh yeah, buy your brother a car. I heard he likes cars, Qin Chu said casually. Chapter 194. Why do you want to buy him a car all of a sudden? Doesn't he like cars? What does he like? He's still a kid. He's still in school. He can't be high profile, Huamin refused immediately. You can buy a low-key local brand. No, that won't do either. Huamin didn't know that Qin Chu had overheard the conversation between Zhu Lingling and Huamin during dinner yesterday. Qin Chu knew that Huamin hated her brother, so he suddenly wanted to do something for him. However, seeing that Huamin was so insistent, Qin Chu didn't say anything else. After taking a shower, the two of them went to bed. Ever since Qin Chu didn't succeed that day, he was so angry that he had been lying on Huamin's bed. He slept like this for a few days. Occasionally, he would even take advantage of her. It was a blessing in disguise. Qin Chu, can you stop touching me? Huamin was burning with anxiety. Qin Chu's hand was originally on her waist, but sometimes it would inadvertently move up. She was so scared that she didn't dare to move. I can't eat you, but I can't touch you. Qin Chu suddenly felt wronged. Huamin's face instantly turned red. She didn't want to talk about such a dirty topic with him anymore. Then, Qin Chu hugged her from behind and slept like that. Qin Chu's sleep quality was actually very poor. During the 7 years in America, it was probably because he missed Huamin. Therefore, he had always been a light sleeper. He would wake up with even the slightest sound. After returning to China, it was the same. He would often wake up in the middle of the night and smoke a few cigarettes before he could sleep. However, after sleeping with Huamin, he could actually fall into a deep sleep. This was because when he smelled Huamin's body fragrance, he would feel extremely safe and peaceful. Even if the whole world were to collapse, he would not be willing to wake up. In the morning, they went to work separately. Huamin drove the car very steadily, afraid that he would accidentally graze the car. After arriving at the hospital, she quickly changed her clothes and prepared to draw the blood of the patient in room 1. Huamin, you must be careful, the head nurse reminded him. Huamin nodded and entered the ward with the blood-drawing tools. Suyu was in the middle of a video conference. He leaned against the bed and looked at the other end of the video with a serious expression. Huamin walked over and picked up Suyu's arm. Suddenly, Suyu pulled his arm back. Who told you to touch me? I told you yesterday that I would draw blood today. Get out. I don't smoke, Suyu said coldly. Okay, you don't have to smoke. At worst, you'll just have to stay here for another month. Wait, come back here, Suyu put down his laptop and shouted when he saw that Huamin was about to leave. Huamin stopped in his tracks and turned around. What did you mean by that? It's obvious. You're not cooperating with the treatment, so you'll definitely recover slower than others. It doesn't matter. I'm not the one staying here. Your family is rich, so you can stay. When Suyu heard this, he immediately became angry. He thought for a moment and ordered coldly, "Come here and draw my blood." Huamian's lips curled up as she slowly walked over. You better be careful. If I prick you wrong, you'll end up like that nurse. It's not bad. I heard that she got 1.4 million in compensation. Why don't you give me 1 million in compensation as well? I promise that I'll prick you more than her. You. For the first time, Suyu was so angry that he was speechless. Why are you angry? Did I say something wrong? He pricked you, and you still gave him 1.4 million yuan. Aren't you just looking for trouble with money? Stupid girl. You'll regret it if you offend me, Suyu warned. Did anyone tell you that it's best not to make enemies with medical staff, especially when you're in the hospital? If I accidentally cause a medical accident, you'll be in big trouble. Do you dare? You'll die an embarrassing death if that happens. What does that matter? I'll drag you down with me. Plus, you're so rich, and I'm just a nurse. After speaking, Huamin pulled out the needle and pouted at Suyu. Press it down, or else it'll bruise. For some reason, Suyu listened to her and pressed down on his needle. Do you believe that I can kick you out of the hospital immediately? You can't even survive in C City anymore, Suyu said word by word as he looked at Huamin's back. Huamin turned around and smiled brightly. He asked, do your parents know that you're so childish? Chapter 195. Without waiting for Suyu to say anything, Huamin turned around and left, leaving young Master Su alone in the room. What was this? Did someone provoke him? She actually dared to call him childish. What a damn woman. Was she tired of living? Is there anyone breathing outside? Get one of them in here. Suyu roared. Thus, a bodyguard ran in. Young master, what are your orders? Remember the nurse who just left? Yes. The bodyguard nodded. Yes, remember her face. Don't let her come to my room in the future. Yes, young master. Suyu pressed down on the needle. He was quite angry. He was famous for his hot temper in the circle. Since he was young, he had been the center of attention. Even his parents had never spoken loudly to him. Later on, the brothers he met also respected him and followed his lead. No matter what decision he made, no one dared to go against him. Later on, he met all kinds of women who wanted to kneel down and lick his boots. He knew that these people were forced by the power and prestige of the Su family. As the only son of the Su family, Su had become a rare treasure. Even his grandfather, who was the head of the military, doted on him. His grandfather once said, as long as you don't do anything that goes against humanity's bottom line, your grandfather will always support your decisions. When he was young, because of his unruly temper, he went to the army to gain experience. When he graduated with the best results and was about to be promoted to a regiment commander, he suddenly announced his retirement. After his retirement, he said that he wanted to start a company for fun. However, he didn't want to be the family's bank. Thus, his father gave him 500 million yuan. In just 5 years, Imperial Star Entertainment rapidly rose in the domestic media industry and became an entertainment giant. The company produced countless stars. Last year, they even spent 80 million yuan to sign the popular movie Queen, Annie Liang. Imperial Star Entertainment's stock price also soared. Now, their quarterly profits reached 1 billion yuan. The movies they invested in also became box office legends. One had to admit that Su had a great business mind. The entire Su family also spoiled this ancestor. As for the women around him, it was as if he was looking at flowers on horseback. Every month, he would change a few women. From movie stars to young models, from socialites to hosts, there were women from all walks of life. None of them did not want to rise to the top. A young lady of the Su family didn't even dare to think about her position. She only wanted to be his lover so that she could enjoy endless glory and wealth. It was said that young Master Su was very generous. He always said that problems that could be solved with money were not problems at all. No matter what, I'll just throw money at you until you're blinded. On the second day after he entered the South Side Recuperation Center, he was tormented by an unknown nurse. Su couldn't take it anymore. He ordered the bodyguards to watch over Huamin and forbade him from entering the room. After Huamin successfully drew Su's blood, he went to room 2 to take care of the old man. The old man's complexion was quite good. He sat on the bed alone and played chess. Huamin smiled. "Sir, aren't you bored being alone?" "I can't help it if I'm bored. Young people like you don't know these things. You only know about online games and mobile games. My grandson is always at home playing Plants vs. Zombies on his phone." "Ha, it's Plants vs. Zombies." Huamin laughed. He thought that the old man was too cute. Who knows what kind of zombies they are? Anyway, since the advancement of technology, these traditional things have been gradually eliminated. The old man sighed slightly. Huamin walked over and looked at the layout and direction of the chess. He picked up a horse and jumped. The old man looked up and was surprised. "You know how to play chess?" "Just a little." Huamin chuckled. "Come, child, sit down and play a few rounds." The old man was in high spirits. Huamin did not stand on ceremony. He sat opposite the old man and played chess seriously. After 3 rounds, the old man's face was gloomy. "Child, you're not telling the truth. How is this just a little? You're clearly an expert in chess." Huamin won 2 out of the 3 rounds. The last round was a draw because Huamin saved the old man's face. The old man had lived for a long time, so how could he not see this? Huamin smiled embarrassedly. In fact, she was not an expert. It was Uncle Jing who taught Jixin when he was young. She watched for a few days and then inexplicably learned it. She had not played it in all these years, but now she found the feeling. Come. That didn't count. Let's continue." The old man seemed to be addicted and refused to give up. At this moment, the head nurse knocked on the door. Huamin, come out for a moment. Chapter 196. Okay. Huamin slowly got up. Sir, I'm going out for a bit. You'll be taking your afternoon nap soon. Don't forget to take the blood pressure medicine before you sleep. Got it. Come back in the afternoon if you're free. We'll continue to play. The old man was full of anticipation like a child. Huamin smiled gently, okay. After walking out of the door, Huamin saw that the head nurse's expression was not right. What's wrong? Head nurse. When Tingting went to young Master Su's room to clean up, she heard the bodyguard say that young Master Su ordered that you're not allowed to step into the room. There's an 4 drip at night. If you don't go in, I'm really worried that Tingting will mess it up. Xiao Mei already made a mistake. If we make young Master Su unhappy, we'll all be fired. Oh, so that's what it's about. Huamin was extremely calm. Isn't this a big deal? This concerns the fate of our careers. Huamin, do you know? I've been working here since I was 28, and I'm 34 this year. It took me 6 years to become a head nurse. My monthly allowance is about 40,000 yuan, and I still have to pay off my mortgage and car loan. I also have a baby to raise. I can't live without this job. Song Lin was right. She was not complaining about being poor. To her, this job was very important. Although she did not dress well, she had a good reputation in the hospital. She did not get involved with the patients too much. Most importantly, Song Lin was already married and had a child. Her husband was just an ordinary employee. Her daughter was born prematurely and had poor health, so they spent a lot of money. It was not easy for her to raise a family alone. Huamin had heard Tingting mention it before. Therefore, he did not doubt the authenticity of this matter. Don't worry, head nurse. I won't let him find a chance to fire us. But you can't even get in the 4 drip. Tingting and Nan Nan can't do it. I know them too well. The head nurse had been working here for 4 years and had seen all kinds of big shots. Most of the patients would be fine as long as the nurse acted coquettishly and said a few nice words. However, this young Master Su was too hard to please. He didn't care about these things at all. Well, I'll think of something. You don't have to worry about it, Huamin said confidently. Although Huamin had repeatedly assured her, the head nurse was still unsure. She was in a daze the entire afternoon and felt uneasy. When it was time for the night shift, Tingting got off work. Before she got off work, she deliberately reminded him, don't mess up the infusion at night. I know. Huamin nodded. At 6:00 in the evening, Huamin carried the infusion equipment to Ward 1. Stop, you can't go in. Why? Huamin asked. Young Master said that you can't take a single step into this room in the future, the 4 bodyguards said in unison. Huamin scanned their old-fashioned faces and said, it's fine if you don't let me in, but if your young master doesn't get treatment in time, his recovery time will be prolonged. If his condition is delayed, the higher-ups will blame me. I will say that you guys stopped me from giving him the 4 drip. Then you can ask someone else to do it. Young Master said that you can't go in, the bodyguard said stubbornly. If someone else could do it well, would I still be needed? Do you think I want to do it? It's not like you guys know how bad your young master's temper is. The other nurses don't dare to come, they're all afraid of angering your young master. I, on the other hand, am confident in my skills. So, if you guys continue to delay, no matter what happens in the end, you guys will have to bear the consequences. After Huamin finished speaking, the 4 bodyguards looked at each other and seemed to be wavering. Get out of the way, I'm going in. Otherwise, if I miss the time to administer the medicine, will you guys be responsible? After saying that, Huamin pushed the door open and went in without waiting for the bodyguards to say anything. He brainwashed the bodyguards with just a few words. Their IQ was really high. Suyu had a mini monitor inside. It was a surveillance camera, so he could see everything outside. He thought that Huamin would retreat after being chased away at the door. He didn't expect that he would be able to convince the bodyguards with just a few words, which really surprised him. When Huamin walked in, Suyu turned off the surveillance camera outside. Raise your hand and insert the needle. Huamin couldn't be bothered to say another word. Suyu stared at Huamin. You're so eloquent and good at persuasion. It's really a waste of your talent if you don't become a MLM lecturer. Can I take it that you're praising me as a genius? Huamin looked at him and asked. Chapter 197. I can't be considered a genius. I can only say that my bodyguards are as stupid as pigs. Huamin chuckled. Suyu saw the small dimples on her cheeks when she smiled. She was very cute. Unlike the women outside, their smiles were very pretentious. They would either cover their mouths and pretend to be reserved, or they would smile slightly and pose for photos. There were very few people who smiled naturally and beautifully like her. Huamin did not say anything else. After the 4 was hooked up, he prepared to insert the needle. I say. I spent so much money here to suffer. Can't you get me a retention needle? Do you want me to die from the pain? Suyu reprimanded with a cold expression. Huamin raised his head to look at her and said in an extremely serious tone, that's why people like you who don't understand common sense are really scary. Retention needles are indeed convenient and can avoid the pain of repeated insertion. However, because the retention time is too long, it can easily cause bacterial infections and cause considerable damage to the blood vessels. Under normal circumstances, unless the baby is moving around and is afraid of the needle sticking, we don't recommend it unless it's a last resort. Seems like you're quite professional, Suyu muttered to herself. Nonsense. If I'm not professional, would I be sent here to give you an 4? Do you think this is a good thing? Do you think I want to do this? Huamin had already inserted the needle as he spoke. It was always done when Suyu was not paying attention. Actually, it was not that painful. It was just like being bitten by a mosquito. Most importantly, young Master Su was too pretentious. Because he could not go out to eat, drink, and have fun, he was always looking for trouble in the recuperation area. From what you're saying, it sounds like you don't want to take care of me. Of course, Huamin said as he raised his head to observe the flow of the 4. Do you know that if you take care of me, you'll get an extra 2,000 yuan a day as a tip? Suyu asked. Huamin was startled and shook his head. I don't know about that. Now she finally understood why everyone was fighting to be in the first ward. Not only could they be close to young Master Su, but they could also get an extra 2,000 yuan a day. It was really cool. What about now? Do you want to come? No. Suyu thought that Huamin would take the initiative to beg him to come here. Why? Because taking care of you is very boring. The old man in the ward next door is better. You can play chess and drink tea with him. Well, you're basically fine. When the needle is removed, another nurse will come. Try not to sleep during this time and observe your infusion volume. After that, Huamin put his hands in the pockets of his lab coat and swaggered out. Suyu was left with a conflicted expression. How could there be such an annoying woman in this world? He really didn't know how to appreciate favors. She actually said that taking care of him was not as good as taking care of the uncle next door. Tomorrow, he would ask around and find out what kind of uncle lived next door. He should drive him away. Huamin was on the day shift for the first week, so he could go home on time after work. Xiaomei was hospitalized because of an accident, so her job was temporarily taken over by the head nurse. When Huamin got off work, he met the nurse from another shift, Nan Nan. She drove a white BMW X3, which was quite cool for a girl to drive. She glanced at Huamin's car and laughed. This car is not very cheap. Why didn't you buy a brand? Not many people know about Volkswagen cars. Ah, this is my family's car. I didn't buy it. Huamin explained. Nan Nan didn't say anything. She slowly reversed the car and drove toward the front door. Because of the traffic jam during rush hour, Huamin got home at 6:30. Qin Chu hadn't come back yet, so the house was relatively quiet. She opened the fridge and sadly found that there were only bread and milk inside. There were no vegetables that could be cooked. Just as she was about to go to the supermarket, she received a call from Qin Chu. Change into something more formal. I'll pick you up at the door in 10 minutes. After that, he didn't wait for Huamin to ask anything and hung up. Huamin suddenly thought, change into something more formal. What day was it today? Chapter 198. After hesitating for a minute, Huamin went upstairs and opened the wardrobe. She didn't know when, but there were a lot of new clothes inside. The strange thing was that Qin Chu never told her these things. After looking around, Huamin finally chose a rose dress from Dolce & Gabbana's new summer collection. After thinking about it, she decided to put on light makeup to match it. She only wore a pair of white heels. When she looked in the mirror, Huamin felt much more pleasing to the eye. Maybe it was because she was used to going barefaced, but when she put on makeup occasionally, she felt that it was quite pleasing to the eye. Qin Chu was very punctual. He said that he would be there in 10 minutes, and he didn't miss a minute. When Huamin arrived downstairs, Qin Chu's car also arrived. When he saw Huamin through the car window, he was stunned. His wife didn't usually dress up, but when she did, she didn't lose to those actresses and young models at all. Huamin even had a unique aura that ordinary people didn't have. In the passenger seat, Huamin asked nervously, "Where are we going now?" "To eat." "Ah. What day is it today?" Huamin suddenly asked. Qin Chu turned his head to look at her. In the end, he seemed to be slightly disappointed. No. After that, the two stopped talking. At the revolving restaurant on the top floor of the Pullman Hotel. This place overlooked the night view of the entire city. It was said that the chef used to be the head chef of a Michelin restaurant and was very good at cooking Western food and desserts. Moreover, it was very difficult to book a table here. Every night, only 6 tables were served, and each table was limited to 2 people. Qin Chu and Huamin sat at the best table for the night view. The atmosphere in the restaurant was especially romantic. Roses were arranged in every corner, and there was a handsome foreign man playing the violin live. It's so beautiful here. I just realized that there is such a beautiful place in Sea City. Huamin sighed. At this moment, Qin Chu took out a small brocade box and pushed it onto the table. This is for you. What? Open it and you'll know. Qin Chu was deliberately mystifying. Huamin picked up the brocade box and slowly opened it. Inside lay a diamond ring. Is this a proposal? Huamin looked up at Qin Chu when he saw the diamond ring. No, I just think that she suits you very well. Huamin took out the ring and put it on her finger. It was very beautiful. Not to mention the size, the most important thing was that she liked the design of the diamond. It was very small, not ostentatious, and not tacky. She liked it very much. Qin Chu knew her personality too well. That was why he gave her a gift. He didn't give her a pigeon egg to show off his wealth. It's very beautiful. Thank you. After Huamin put it on, he couldn't bear to put it down. He looked left and right again. Qin Chu smiled. It seemed that his efforts were not in vain. This diamond was designed by him. The diamond was also personally selected by him. He took it abroad for processing and finally flew it back. The total cost was no less than 3 million. Of course, Huamin didn't know the details. She thought that it was an ordinary diamond ring that cost 10 or 20,000 on the market. At this time, the waiter began to serve the dishes. There was medium well steak, foie gras, caviar, and Australian lobster. There was also a bottle of red wine that looked expensive. Huamin thought in his heart. Today was not his birthday, nor was it Qin Chu's birthday, but the atmosphere was. Qin Chu was silent. He poured 2 glasses of red wine and handed one to Huamin. Then he picked up his glass and said, "Happy anniversary." Huamin was stunned. Anniversary? Although he suddenly thought of something, he felt a little ashamed. Sorry, I forgot that today is the 100th anniversary of our marriage. That's right. When they got their marriage certificate, it was still early summer. Now, it was already the end of summer. More than 3 months had passed. It's okay, as long as I remember. Qin Chu raised his glass and took a small sip. Huamin also picked up her glass and took a small sip. On such a special day, with a special person, coming to such a beautiful restaurant together. This scene was unforgettable. You even prepared a gift for me. I don't have anything for you. Huamin was a little embarrassed. If she had known, she would have bought him a gift. If you really want to give me a gift, why don't you give me a kiss or something? I think I'd be happy to do that, Qin Chu said in all seriousness. Huamin's face turned slightly red, however, she still got up gracefully, walked to Qin Chu's side, and kissed him on the cheek. Just as she was about to kiss him, Qin Chu quickly turned his face and licked Huamin's lips. Then, Huamin was confused. What was Qin Chu doing? Chapter 199. Without time to think, Huamin immediately ran back to her seat and pretended to eat as if nothing had happened. She didn't even dare to look up as she dug into her ice cream spoon by spoon. Qin Chu looked at her awkward expression and smiled slightly, his eyes filled with endless gentleness. When they got home, the two showered and were about to go to bed when Qin Chu received a call. I'm going out for a bit, you sleep first. What's wrong? Huamin asked worriedly as she could tell it was something urgent. My dad's high blood pressure is acting up and he's in the hospital. Is it serious? I don't know yet, I'll go check on him. You sleep first. After speaking, Qin Chu put on his jacket and left. Huamin actually wanted to say that she would go with him, but when she thought about her relationship with Qin Chu's parents, she swallowed her words. The strange thing was, she suddenly couldn't fall asleep when Qin Chu wasn't home. Maybe she was used to having him by her side, so she couldn't sleep when she was suddenly alone. That's why, sometimes, habit is a scary thing. There were some things that you didn't need to worry about not getting, but losing them again after getting them. Huamin didn't sleep well that night. When she woke up in the morning, she realized that Qin Chu wasn't home yet. She thought for a moment and sent him a WeChat message, "How's your dad?" "He's fine, his blood pressure dropped and he's home now. I have to go to the company for an early meeting, remember to eat breakfast." Okay. After replying, Huamin sighed, drank a glass of milk, and left. On the way, she accidentally turned on the radio in her car and heard a piece of gossip news. According to a media report, the popular costume actress Luo Feifei was on a date with the heir of GK at the Pullman Penthouse restaurant yesterday. The media took pictures of the scene, and it's rumored that Luo Feifei is the spokesperson for a female shoe brand under GK. Therefore, everyone is guessing that Luo Feifei took advantage of work to hook up with the heir of GK. According to the restaurant's employees, the two had a sweet dinner at the restaurant and their relationship has been exposed. When Huamin heard this, she was amused. When did she become the actress Luo Feifei? Could it be that they look alike? She took out her phone and searched for information on Baidu. She realized that she looked completely different from herself. She really didn't know what the media was thinking. However, what Huamin didn't know was that actress Luo Feifei did go to Pullman for dinner last night, but she didn't go with Qin Chu. Instead, she went with her assistant. However, the media loved to make groundless accusations. When they saw Qin Chu's car parked in front of the hotel, plus the fact that Luo Feifei was GK's new spokesperson, a series of assumptions and conjectures arose. Huamin couldn't be bothered with the messy news and drove to the sanatorium. After Qin Chu came out of the company's conference room, he was a little tired. Last night, he went to the hospital to take care of his father. He stayed with him all night and sent him home in the morning. He hadn't slept the entire night, so his mental state wasn't very good. "Boss, coffee." Little Yang immediately handed it over. Qin Chu took it and slowly took a sip. "Boss, did you read today's newspaper?" "Not yet." "Why?" You'll know when you see it." Qin Chu picked up the morning paper and glanced at it. The big entertainment section read, "Actress Luo Feifei's late-night rendezvous with GK's prince, relationship suspected to be exposed." After reading the news, Qin Chu's face darkened. "So, boss, did you really go to Pullman for dinner last night?" Little Yang asked anxiously, because he saw that the Maybach in the photo really did belong to the president. Could it be that the president had started to date actresses? "Yes, I did go to Pullman." "So?" Little Yang looked at the president nervously, thinking that he was going to admit to their relationship. "So, who the hell is this Luo Feifei?" Qin Chu asked with a dark expression. Chapter 200. President Qin, you don't know Luo Feifei. She's in a fantasy drama called Investiture of the Gods. She's the female lead, Su Daji. I've never seen it, so I don't know. Okay, you win. Assistant Yang thought that even if the president didn't watch TV series, the media would report on Luo Feifei every day. The streets and alleys were filled with publicity photos of this woman. It was hard not to recognize her. Therefore, his boss was an alien and not an earthling at all. On the other side, Luo Feifei was about to attend a press conference. Once the scandal was exposed, it became even more popular. Many reporters blocked the entrance, waiting for an interview. Her manager asked carefully, "Feifei, did our studio make the headlines today?" "Of course not." "Oh. I thought our team planned it." "That's good news, you're on Weibo's hot search list now. You can use the press conference to promote your movie that will be released next month. Do your best." Luo Feifei looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. She didn't expect this scandal. She asked her assistant to make a reservation at Pullman a month in advance. She didn't expect the Prince of GK to be there last night. She regretted that she didn't recognize him. She wanted to use this opportunity to get close to him. The media always liked to make groundless accusations, but it was good. He could be considered her main force. Maybe she could use this opportunity to get close to the Prince of GK. Marrying into a rich family was every actress's ultimate dream. In front of the camera, Luo Feifei smiled sweetly and answered every reporter's question enthusiastically. Finally, a reporter asked, "Miss Luo Feifei, can you tell us about your dinner with the Prince of GK last night? Did you guys announce your relationship?" Luo Feifei was a bit shy. It's not convenient for me to reveal that right now, but I'll share good news with everyone. Luo Feifei's answer was vague, which increased the attention on this matter. Another reporter asked, I heard that you're the new spokesperson for GK's OWQ women's shoe brand. Did you accept this job because you're a couple with GK's heir, or did you become a couple with President Qin after your sister started working? Sorry, everyone, please ask about the movie that will be released next month. Thank you. The agent stepped forward to block the questions. Luo Feifei was doing this because she wanted to rise to the top and take the opportunity to hype up her popularity. She thought she was young and pretty, so even if President Qin of GK saw the news, he wouldn't blame her. Maybe he could even take the initiative to ask her out for a meal or something. In short, Luo Feifei thought things through too perfectly. After the interview was broadcasted, it received more than 10 million views. Many people were interested in the mysterious heir of GK. In particular, the scandal with Luo Feifei increased everyone's attention. On that day, GK's stock market skyrocketed. After Mother Qin finished watching the movie at home, she couldn't sit still anymore. She immediately called her son. Unexpectedly, he couldn't get through. Qin Chu had already transferred the call to voicemail because there were too many people harassing him. Even Gao Ran sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu. Bro, what's your situation? Aren't you afraid that Huamin will make you kneel on a durian when you get home? In fact, Huamin was already aware of it, but she knew the truth, so she didn't care at all. GK Design Department. After Jiang Linyue saw the news, her face turned gloomy. Director, do you think our president is really dating Luo Feifei? Luo Feifei is a piece of trash. How could she be good enough for our president? She must be dreaming. Let me tell you, there are no women in the entertainment industry who are clean. Our president is a germaphobe, and he hates her for being dirty. Jiang Linyue was too infatuated with Qin Chu, so she already knew all about his habits. All these years, she endured loneliness and protected her virginity, all for the sake of one glance from Qin Chu. Inside the president's office, sir, this is a big deal. Should we ask the PR department to send a response? Assistant Yang asked carefully. Chapter 201. Why should I respond to something like this? But Miss Luo Feifei is the new spokesperson for our women's shoes. Yang looked like he was about to cry. The chairman's wife couldn't find the president and kept calling him. He didn't know how to respond. This morning, President Qin said that he didn't know Miss Luo Feifei. However, Miss Luo Feifei had just been interviewed and her words were ambiguous. Who would believe that nothing had happened between them? With so many reporters crowding around GK, it wouldn't be right if he didn't respond. Yang's words finally caught Qin Chu's attention. He looked up and frowned slightly. You're saying that she's the spokesperson for our company? Yeah. Who decided? Qin Chu asked unhappily. The board of directors unanimously agreed to it. Oh, right, you were on a business trip, so the old chairman made the decision. Miss Luo Feifei is quite popular and the price is reasonable, so we signed a 1-year contract. Tell the marketing department to immediately remove her from the position and replace her with someone else. Replace who? Anyone is fine. But sir, we have to pay a penalty for breaching the contract, Yang said awkwardly. Do you think I'm short of money? Qin Chu asked back. No, that's not what I meant. I just wanted to say, what are you waiting for? Qin Chu's face darkened. Yang ran all the way to the marketing department and gave the order. The finance department immediately prepared the penalty for breaching the contract, and the team of lawyers rewrote the contract to minimize the losses. The PR department also sent out a letter announcing that GK had removed Miss Luo Feifei from the company. The news caused another uproar. Feifei, bad news. GK has breached the contract and you're no longer the spokesperson. Her manager rushed into the makeup room. Luo Feifei stood up immediately. What did you say? They want to replace you. Why? Luo Feifei's face looked terrible. I don't know the details, but the company called me and told me that they're willing to pay the penalty, but they don't want you as their spokesperson. You know how popular that car is, anyone who endorses it will become more famous. We can't believe we missed such an opportunity. I don't want compensation, I don't need money. I want to be GK's spokesperson, Luo Feifei said stubbornly. Even if you tell me, I can't do anything about it. I'm guessing that what you said at the press conference this morning offended President Qin. That can't be. Luo Feifei was unsure. Also, I heard that. The agent hesitated. Heard what? I heard that their president banned you from endorsing any of GK's products. When Luo Feifei heard this, she fell onto the chair behind her, dumbfounded. No, Ms. Liu, help me think of a way. Can you contact President Qin? I need to personally explain and apologize to him. I can't lose this opportunity to be GK's spokesperson. All the top actresses in the country are endorsing GK, I can't lose this great opportunity. If I really get blacklisted, my future will be very difficult, Luo Feifei said with a trembling voice as she realized how serious the situation was. Her eyes were red, the manager was a little angry. He thought to himself, if I had known this would happen, I wouldn't have acted so pretentiously and acquiesced in their relationship. Now that I've angered the big boss, I know how to cry. I'll try, but I don't have much hope. I heard that GK's president is very cold and unapproachable. Qin Chu was busy all morning. When he was having lunch at the cafeteria, the director of the public relations department walked in. She was a woman in her 40s, elegant and serious. She was an old employee of GK. President Qin, Miss Luo Feifei's agent just contacted me. She said that Miss Luo Feifei really wants to see you. Is it possible to make an appointment? No. Okay, President Qin. After rejecting the appointment, Luo Feifei didn't give up. After work, she followed Qin Chu's car. At a traffic light intersection, Qin Chu slammed on the brakes. Luo Feifei's white Maserati couldn't dodge in time and crashed into him. Chapter 202. Qin Chu parked the car on the side of the road and got out. Luo Feifei's driving skills were average. Maybe she was too impatient and wanted to catch up with Qin Chu to talk to him, so in her panic, she crashed into him. You must be President Qin. Luo Feifei got out of the car and asked politely. Qin Chu glanced at her, then looked at his beloved car and frowned. You crashed into my car. I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I just wanted to talk to you about something. Qin Chu looked at her, confused. The truth was, he didn't recognize Luo Feifei in person because she was wearing heavy makeup on screen. However, she looked different in person, you know me. President Qin, I'm Luo Feifei. What do you want? Qin Chu's face was cold. I said something wrong at the press conference, and I'm here to apologize to you. Please don't terminate my contract, okay? I don't want compensation, I just want to be the spokesperson for GK. Please forgive me. The PR department has already taken care of this, so there's no point in you coming to me. But these things can be done with just a word from you. Please give me some face. We're not friends, why should I do you a favor? Qin Chu was also confused. Why was this woman trying to get close to him? She purposely gave a vague response at the press conference, so she could use it as an opportunity to climb up the social ladder. Unfortunately, she messed with the wrong person. Then we're friends now. As long as President Qin is willing to forgive me, I'll agree to anything you want. Luo Feifei saw that Qin Chu was extraordinarily handsome, so she hinted that she could do something to him. Unfortunately, Qin Chu wasn't interested at all. He only said one thing: we'll choose a big star from Europe and America as our new spokesperson. My decision won't change, that's all. Oh right, I'll leave the car here. After the insurance company verifies it, you can pay them the amount they're willing to pay. The money will be directly transferred to my company account. If the money isn't transferred in a week, my legal team will sue you. After speaking, Qin Chu stood on the side of the road, hailed a taxi, and left. Luo Feifei felt like crying, but no tears came out. She even felt like dying. What kind of fate was this? Not only did he fail to reach a deal, he even crashed into someone else's luxury car. As more and more people gathered around, Luo Feifei immediately put on her mask and got into the car. Then, he called his agent and rushed over to deal with it. The traffic police and the insurance company arrived soon after. When the manager arrived at the scene and saw the terrible scene, she scolded, "Feifei, how did this happen? Don't mention it. That Qin Chu is so cold. I even suspect that he is gay. He didn't even move when he saw me." Luo Feifei kept complaining. Was he referring to Qin Chu as an iceberg? That's right, but it depends on who the target is. To Huamin, he was a once-in-a-thousand-years warm stove. In Huamin's wardrobe, all the clothes were personally selected by Qin Chu, including the underwear. Huamin sometimes blushed when he thought about it. It was really hard for a man like him to do these things for him. Therefore, when he was free, Huamin would go shopping by himself and buy some clothes that he liked. He didn't want to burden Qin Chu. After work at night, Huamin bought some fresh beef and vegetables from the supermarket and prepared to cook hot pot. Qin Chu got off work on time. Just in time, we can eat hot pot. Huamin smiled. Did you see the news today? Qin Chu lowered his head and changed his shoes as he asked. Chapter 203. I saw it. It was that high school student who helped an 80-year-old uncle up, but got blackmailed instead, right? The world is so unfair. They say that old people don't turn bad, but bad people do. The student's parents didn't want to pay, so they went to the high school and made a scene. They hugged the kid's leg and refused to let go. That's why I said I won't meddle in other people's business anymore. Thank goodness you helped me last time, but I won't be Mary Sue anymore. I'd rather be called cold. Huamin rambled on, but Qin Chu just looked at her quietly. Finally, he said, "Mian, that's not what I'm asking. You should know what I'm asking about." Seeing how serious Qin Chu was, Huamin didn't dare to stray from the topic. She nodded. I saw the news about you and that female celebrity. That female celebrity is quite pretty. That's what you wanted to tell me. Qin Chu frowned slightly, showing his displeasure. Then what should I tell you? Huamin was a little confused. I don't know that Luo Feifei. Maybe because she's popular, the company invited her to be their spokesperson. But today, they terminated her contract, and I ordered all of GK's subsidiaries not to use her. If that's the case, won't you have to pay a lot of money? It doesn't matter, as long as you don't misunderstand. I won't misunderstand. We had dinner together last night. The media likes to write nonsense, don't be mad, Huamin comforted. Qin Chu took off his jacket, lit a cigarette, and leaned against the sofa. He looked at Huamin. But today at the press conference, she purposely acted mysterious and wanted to use the opportunity to climb up the social ladder. Huamin smiled. Isn't that normal? Female celebrities like to do that. It's just hype, it's not real. No, I won't let anyone use my private life for hype. I understand. Huamin nodded. Mian. Yeah. Do you trust me? Qin Chu asked gently. What do you mean? It's how much you trust me. Do you believe that I won't mess around outside? Qin Chu's eyes were deep, as if he was testing Huamin's attitude. Huamin nodded. I believe you. Why? Huamin pointed at his head. I didn't grow this for nothing. If I can't distinguish between lies and truth, how can I be considered a genius? Qin Chu was slightly moved. He raised his hand and said, Mian, come here. It was rare for Huamin to be so obedient. He shuffled over and stood beside Qin Chu. Qin Chu reached out and pulled her into his arms. He buried his head in her neck, his warm breath made her smile slightly, such an intimate action made her heart beat faster. He said, Mian, remember, no matter what happens in the future, I don't care what other people think. As long as you believe in me, I will die without regrets. Bah, what are you talking about? What do you mean by death? Huamin pinched Qin Chu's face. Qin Chu gently raised his hand and brushed away the stray hair in front of her forehead. It was as if he couldn't get enough of looking at Huamin. What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a beauty before? Huamin was a little embarrassed and snorted. Qin Chu's lips curled up slightly. Indeed, I've never seen a beauty come out of the shower naked and only know how to cover her face. There you go again. Are you going to say this awkward joke for the rest of my life? Huamin flew into a rage out of humiliation. He raised his fist and punched Qin Chu's body. He didn't use much strength, but to him, it was like he was flirting. He grabbed her arm and gently bit her lips. It was so soft, there was a slight itch amidst the warmth, and a hint of desire amidst the lingering sensation. Chapter 204. Just then, the induction cooker beeped twice, signaling that the water was boiling. Huamin immediately pushed Qin Chu over and stood up awkwardly. The water's boiling. Let's go eat hot pot. Okay. Although Qin Chu looked unsatisfied, he still listened to Huamin. The couple felt very warm as they ate a steaming hot pot in the cool weather of late summer and early autumn. Just then, Qin Chu's phone rang. What's up? I just got off work. Let's go out for a drink. Gao Ran was in high spirits. I'm not going. Why not? Gao Ran was annoyed that Qin Chu actually rejected him. I already ate at home. Oh, so you're with your wife? I haven't eaten yet. Why don't I join you? No. Qin Chu decisively refused. Hey, do you have any humanity left in you? Think about it, how much effort did I put in to help you and Huamin? Huamin's ex-boyfriend is about to get married. Did he visit a prostitute or something? I told you to come watch the show and created an opportunity for you guys. Then, I helped you investigate the truck. Also, a few days ago, Huamin got into a fight with a patient's family and was injured. I was also the first to tell you about it. How dare you burn the bridge after crossing the river? Are all capitalists like you? Gao Ran rambled on, and Qin Chu's heart softened. He looked at Huamin, and Huamin immediately asked, Who is it? Gao Ran wants to come to our house for dinner. Then let him come. Gao Ran was just about to thank Huamin when Huamin said, I'll ask Lingling to come too. Oh, I suddenly remembered that I have something urgent to do, so I won't go. Maybe another day, ha. Before hanging up, Gao Ran didn't forget to say to Qin Chu, your wife is a perfect match for you. She's so bad. Then, she hung up the phone, amused. Qin Chu placed his phone on the dining table. what are you laughing at? Huamin looked at him in confusion. It's nothing. Qin Chu didn't want to say more. The next day, Qin Chu got up early because he had to catch an early flight for a business trip. When Huamin was eating breakfast, he suddenly remembered that the food at Southside's cafeteria tasted terrible, so he decided to bring his own food. The patients at Southside Recuperation Center ate very well because they paid for it themselves. All the fresh ingredients were flown in by air. However, the chefs were so busy cooking for the patients that they neglected the workers. Huamin thought that the stir-fried vegetables tasted like pig feed. Of course, she had never eaten pig feed before, so it was just a guess. To save time, Huamin made seaweed rolls, a Korean dish. When they passed by the supermarket, they even bought a can of spicy cabbage. The combination was perfect. After Huamin took care of the old man in room 2 in the morning, he took his lunchbox and sat down on a bench in the hallway of the hospital, ready to eat. Just then, Su Yu, who was being supported by the bodyguards, came back from the other end of the hall. He immediately saw Huamin. It wasn't because she was beautiful, but because she was at Southside, where short skirts and uniforms were very tempting. When he saw a nurse in a loose white coat, he was sure that she was Huamin. Ever since Su Yu arrived, he didn't have much of an appetite. Whether it was seafood, stir-fried vegetables, or desserts, he didn't have any appetite. Because he was bored lying in bed all day, he didn't want to eat anything. Some of the female celebrities under his company who were good at cooking had been thrown into the trash can by Su Yu. However, when he saw Huamin sitting there eating something and looking like it was delicious, his appetite was whetted. When he passed by Huamin, he glanced at it and found that the seaweed rolls were very small and cute. It was in the shape of a bear, and its eyes and nose were made of seaweed. It was so cute. What are you eating? He was very curious. Seaweed rolls, Huamin said without looking up. Give me one, Su Yu said firmly. No way. Huamin looked up with a determined expression. Chapter 205. I can give you money. 1,000 yuan for a seaweed roll, how about that? Su Yu said arrogantly. He always thought that there was nothing that money couldn't solve. If it couldn't be solved, then it meant that the money wasn't there. No, Huamin decisively refused. 5,000 yuan. Su Yu instantly increased the price by 5 times. Huamin looked up and smiled sweetly. Su Yu immediately felt proud. He thought that she would agree for sure this time. After all, no one would say no to money. To his surprise, after smiling, Huamin picked up a seaweed roll and put it in her mouth right in front of him. Young Master Su was so greedy that he was almost drooling. 5,000 yuan is enough to buy a car. Why don't you order takeout? It tastes better than mine, Huamin suggested. I don't want takeout, I want to eat this. Tell me, how much are you willing to sell it for? Su Yu finally lost his patience and directly offered a price. I'm not selling it for any price. Let me tell you this. You think that money is omnipotent, but you don't know that sometimes, money is completely useless. For example, in the desert, you might not even be able to buy a bottle of mineral water with 100 million yuan. Su Yu's face immediately darkened. Not only did this woman not give him food, she even tried to reason with him. He was so angry. The seaweed rolls were getting fewer and fewer until there was only one left. Huamin ate the authentic Korean-style spicy cabbage to her heart's content. In the end, Su Yu couldn't hold back anymore. While Huamin wasn't paying attention, he quickly grabbed a seaweed roll and put it in his mouth to chew. Hey, when did you become a robber? Huamin looked at Su Yu speechlessly. Was he really the rich sugar daddy who was on the entertainment headlines every day and had all the girls in the city falling in love with him? How could he be so uncultured and not care about his image at all? It seemed like the newspapers were all lies. Seeing was believing. He was so uncultured. After eating, Suyu took out his wallet, opened it, and threw a stack of money on the bench. It looked like it was at least 3,000 to 5,000 yuan. Here's your reward. I won't eat for free. Why do I feel like you're an idiot? Huamin chuckled. Suyu immediately reacted, who are you calling an idiot? You don't want to live anymore. Yeah, I don't want to live anymore if I have to take care of a hypocritical patient like you. Hurry up and die. Huamian closed her eyes to piss him off. Chapter 206. You really? Suyu was speechless at Huamin's blatant provocation. If it was any other woman, he would have smashed her head with his phone without hesitation. But strangely, he didn't feel like he was going to hit her this time. He subconsciously looked at the woman with her eyes closed and thought that her eyelashes were very pretty. She wasn't like those women who wore fake eyelashes, grafted eyelashes, or wore black mascara. Huamian's eyelashes weren't close, thick, or even curled up automatically. But because they were so natural, they gave off a refreshing feeling. She never put on makeup and only did basic skincare, so her skin was really good. It was white and bright. She didn't wear any lipstick, so her lips were a natural light red, looking moist and glossy. Her face wasn't very stunning, but it made people feel very comfortable looking at it. Suyu even thought that if he kissed her, her lips would definitely taste good. When this thought popped up in his mind, he was shocked. He had really seen a ghost. Finally, after looking deeply at Huamin, Suyu turned around and left. Hearing the footsteps disappear, Huamin opened her eyes, smiled, and said to herself, "This Suyu is as childish as a child, but he doesn't seem to have a bad temper. It seems that most of the rumors can't be trusted." Huamin didn't see Suyu being violent. At most, he just pissed him off. Therefore, she only thought that Suyu was a little childish and wasn't as bad as the rumors said. This could be seen from the fact that he had snatched his seaweed roll just now. What did the Su family's crown prince mean? They were making a mountain out of a molehill. Qin Manor, Jiang Linyue sat on the sofa in the living room, flattered. She didn't know why the president's wife invited her to their house. It was her first time entering the Qin Manor, and it was indeed luxurious. The maid cut some fruit and poured some flower tea. Qin Chu walked down from the second floor, looking elegant and graceful. "Madam." Jiang Linyue immediately stood up and greeted her. "Take a seat." Jiang Linyue sat down cautiously, and Lady Qin sat down on the leather sofa beside her. "Don't be nervous. I called you here today not because of the company, but because of some personal matters. The chairman is not at home, so you can relax a little." "Yes, madam." Jiang Linyue smiled. Today, she was wearing a beige business suit, black high heels, black stockings, and exquisite makeup. Jiang Linyue was one of the most beautiful women in the entire GK Corporation. She had many suitors, but she was proud and arrogant. She never looked at those people in the eye. She just felt that being by Qin Chu's side was the best home for her. Luo Feifei's matter has been a hot topic these days. I was going to believe it and ask Chu, but then I saw the public relations department of the company send a letter to terminate the contract and never use Luo Feifei again. I guess that woman wants to use my son to get the position, so she angered him. Jiang Linyue nodded. That's right. With President Qin's status, he wouldn't have anything to do with those actresses with bad reputations. As an employee of GK, I trust him very much. Lady Qin nodded in satisfaction. I'm happy to hear that. I personally don't want Chu to get involved with those women in the entertainment industry. Most of those women have dirty backgrounds and are unscrupulous on their way to fame. They have too many scandals, so of course they don't have the right to enter the Qin family. No, they don't even have the chance to get close to President Qin. President Qin is very clean. Jiang Linyue praised. She secretly observed and noticed that Qin Chu never had intimate contact with any woman. He always went to work on time, and no one other than Assistant Yang was allowed to get close to him. I know my own son, but rumors are scary. He's so outstanding, but he's never had a girlfriend. People will gossip about him. The Qin family has always valued our reputation, and I really don't want people to seize the opportunity to spread rumors. Then, has President Qin never had a girlfriend? In fact, Jiang Linyue also wanted to know if Qin Chu was gay. Chapter 207. Lady Qin's expression changed slightly upon hearing this. I did, but we broke up not long after. We weren't suitable for each other, that was a long time ago. Not long after that, my son left the country. I'm not sure if he has a girlfriend in the States, because he rarely talks to me about it. Oh, I see. Then you don't have to worry, Mrs. Qin. If President Qin had a girlfriend before, then it's not like what the rumors say. Jiang Linyue seemed relieved. Little Jiang, there's something I want to ask you. I hope you can tell me the truth. Go ahead, Mrs. Qin. Do you like Chu? Lady Qin stared at Jiang Linyue's face and asked. Jiang Linyue immediately blushed, then, she bit her lip and nodded. Lady Qin smiled. Do you want to date him? Jiang Linyue raised her head, a bit dejected. President Qin won't like me. How do you know if you don't try? Mrs. Qin, you mean? Jiang Linyue couldn't believe that Mrs. Qin was trying to help her. Seeing Jiang Linyue's shock, Lady Qin continued, your background is very clean, I like it. Although you're not from a famous family, you're still from a scholarly family. Your family members all immigrated, and you're a simple family. You're highly educated and excellent at your job. You're my ideal daughter-in-law. Mrs. Qin, I. Jiang Linyue was extremely excited and didn't know what to say. Anyways, I'll create opportunities for the two of you. I believe that sincerity can move metal and stone. Although Chu's personality is cold, you'll get used to him after a while. Thank you, Mrs. Qin. Jiang Linyue immediately nodded in gratitude. Then, Jiang Linyue ate dinner at the Qin manor. After dinner, Qin Chu suddenly came home. Mom, what's up? Is Dad not feeling well again? Qin Chu opened the door and walked in. Oh, no, your dad's in good health. He went to the hot springs in the mountains to recuperate. He's not home. Qin Chu didn't say anything after hearing this, but he saw Jiang Linyue standing next to his mother. President Qin, Jiang Linyue greeted him. Why are you here? Qin Chu looked displeased. I'm the one who asked Xiao Jiang to come and report to me about the company's situation. I've been taking care of your father recently and haven't had time to go over. If there's nothing else, I'll go back first, Qin Chu said and turned to leave. Chu, the driver asked for leave today, and it's not easy to get a taxi here. Why don't you give Xiao Jiang a ride? After all, she's an employee of our company, Lady Qin suddenly said. Qin Chu turned around to look at his mother, then at Jiang Linyue. Finally, he said, let's go. Jiang Linyue was ecstatic to see Qin Chu agree, and Lady Qin gave her an encouraging look. She jogged behind Qin Chu and got into the Maybach. To her surprise, as soon as she opened the door to the passenger seat, Qin Chu said coldly, go sit at the back. Yes, President Qin. Jiang Linhua didn't dare to say anything else and sat in the back. At first, neither of them spoke, and Jiang Linhua didn't dare to say anything either, afraid that she would say something wrong. Suddenly, Qin Chu asked, "My mom must have said something to you since she asked you to come, right?" "No, nothing, it's all about work." "You can't lie to me, I can imagine what kind of deal you guys made. To be honest, I really hate you, so don't think about unrealistic things. My mom's opinion doesn't represent me." "I know, President Qin." Jiang Linhua nodded. "But, in order to make sure my mom doesn't bother me anymore, let's make a deal." "What deal?" Jiang Linhua was slightly surprised. Chapter 208. In the future, no matter what my mom says to you, just brush her off. You don't have to say too much. I think that since you're the one she likes, she won't have time to find another woman for me after she spends all her time on you. That's not a bad idea. Jiang Linhua immediately understood what Qin Chu meant. She asked carefully, "President Qin, are you saying that you want me to be a spy and help you put on an act to hide it from Mrs. Qin? I can give you a 2% raise." "I don't care about the salary, President Qin. You don't understand me, I actually..." Jiang Linhua wanted to say more but was interrupted by Qin Chu. "If you don't agree to my proposal, then you will be transferred to the branch in Malaysia tomorrow." Jiang Linhua, the big boss, was indeed ruthless. If the deal didn't work out, then he had to be ruthless. In the end, Jiang Linhua had no choice but to compromise. "I agree to your proposal, President Qin." "Good." After speaking, Qin Chu stepped on the brakes and said, "Get out of the car here and take a taxi home. You can report the taxi fee to the finance department tomorrow." Jiang Linhua got out of the car uncomfortably and watched Qin Chu's Maybach drive away. He was always so heartless, even kicking her out of the car halfway, but she still couldn't give up on him. When Huamin got off work, they encountered rush hour and were stuck in traffic. They had to wait for one red light after another. Huamin was bored. She took out her phone, took a picture of the traffic jam, and posted it on her WeChat friend circle. She wrote, "The new gambling city has been born. From now on, Las Vegas will no longer dominate the world, but our great sea city will be famous overseas." Zhu Lingling immediately commented, "I agree, let's just call our city the gambling city from now on." Jing Zhixin also posted a comment, "Sis, did you buy a car?" Huamin immediately replied, "No, the new company gave me one." Zhixin was naive and believed her without a doubt. He even sent a cheering emoji, "Sis, you're the best. Take me for a ride someday." Huamin was just about to reply when the light changed. She immediately focused on driving. When she passed by a big supermarket, she parked her car on the side of the road, planning to go in and buy some fruits and vegetables. Yet, he saw such a scene. A woman was kicked to the ground with a pained expression. Not only did the man not stop, he kept hitting her. There were many onlookers, but no one stopped them. Huamin had mixed feelings when he saw the couple clearly. It was none other than Yuan Finfin, the pregnant woman she had risked her life to save some time ago. The person who hit her was her husband. "Hubby, I beg you, please come home. Our daughter misses you very much." The woman cried miserably. "You're such a jinx. You only know how to cry. No wonder I'm so unlucky. I lost a lot of money and almost went to jail. I'm so fucking disheartened." "I'll beat you to death," the man scolded and hit him. "Don't hit her. What kind of man are you if you hit your wife?" The passers-by tried to comfort him. "Get lost. We're a couple. Even the police don't care. It's none of your business." The man's attitude was arrogant. The woman was sobbing on the ground. After Huamin took one look, he was no longer in the mood to buy groceries. He turned around and got into his car. She wouldn't stop him. Previously, she had saved her out of kindness and was almost bitten by her. Therefore, Huamin didn't feel that this woman was pitiful. As the saying goes, a pitiful person must have a detestable side. That man often used domestic violence against her. Not only did she refuse to divorce him, she even thought that she wouldn't be able to live without him. A woman like this was destined to never find happiness. Previously, when she begged Huamin to let her husband go, it was reasonable. However, she played a little trick in front of so many people, which made Huamin extremely uncomfortable. Actually, even if she didn't act so much, and went to Huamin alone, Huamin still might have let her husband go. Huamin only felt that the result of that incident was that they didn't cause trouble for the hospital. It was good enough that the hospital and he were innocent. However, right now, Huamin was thinking that a jerk like this would be better off in jail. It would be a disaster if he was released. The reason why they were where they were today was simply because of one word: retribution. Tragedies all stemmed from their own choices. After a little delay, it was almost 7:00 by the time she got home. Huamin walked in empty-handed. As soon as she walked in, she smelled the smell of cooking oil. She walked to the kitchen door in shock and saw a very melodramatic scene. Chin Chu was wearing a white shirt and black trousers, cooking. That's right, our almighty Chin was cooking. Boss Chin, can you tell me what you're doing? Huamin asked curiously. Chapter 209. I'm learning how to cook Chinese food. The simple yet powerful words left Huamin a little dumbfounded. Why do you want to learn how to cook Chinese food? I can do it. Huamin thought that the food she made was delicious, so she was the only one who knew how to cook. Chin Chu had been in the States for 7 years, and if he wanted to learn, he would have to start all over again. How troublesome would that be? Don't you like Chinese food? But I know how to make it myself. Huamin was helpless. Sometimes you get off work late, so you're tired and hungry. I get off work early and have nothing to do anyway, Chin Chu slowly said. Then, he poured the mushrooms from the wok onto a plate. The faint aroma of the mushrooms drifted over, and Huamin's eyes immediately became misty. She was touched again. The truth was, it wasn't a big deal for a husband to cook for his wife. However, Chin Chu wasn't an ordinary husband. He was so busy that he could fly. He was the CEO of GK, and he wished that he could have 72 hours a day. The 7 subsidiary companies under GK were all leaders in their respective industries. Chin Chu had meetings that lasted 4 to 5 hours every day. However, he still went to work on time every day and cooked for her. How could she not be moved? Wash your hands and get changed, the food is ready. Huamin didn't say anything. She went upstairs, changed into a set of home clothes, and washed her hands. When she sat down at the dining table, she saw that the 4 dishes and 1 soup were already on the table. Judging by the color alone, she knew that they were going to taste good. They looked delicious, Huamin exclaimed as she looked at the dishes. Steamed sea bass, mushroom stir-fried meat, bitter gourd fried eggs, and braised pork ribs. The soup was seafood soup, and clams floated on top of it. Chin Chu picked up the soup bowl, filled it with seafood, and handed it to her. Thank you. Huamin took a small bite and gave her a thumbs up. It's super good, I don't even know how to make this, how did you figure it out? The chef at the company's restaurant taught me. He's pretty good, so I asked him. Impressive. It seems that the chefs of big companies are indeed different. Huamin smiled. Because it was Chin Chu's first time cooking, Hua-min ate a lot. He ate 1.5 bowls of rice. In the end, she couldn't help but say, if it weren't for the fact that I'm afraid of getting fat, I would really want to eat another bowl. It's okay. I won't mind if you're fat. But I despise myself. There's no spring for fatties. Hua-min blinked his eyes, looking especially adorable. Chin Chu looked at Hua-min's expression and felt very satisfied. All he wanted was to be with Hua-min and have a simple little happiness. The next morning, Hua-min arrived at the recuperation area. He changed into his work clothes and measured the blood pressure of the old man in room 2. Sir, please take it easy these days. You can't steal desserts anymore. Your blood sugar is already higher than before. Okay, got it. Hey, girl, when you're free later, why don't we play a game of chess? The old man's eyes glowed with excitement and anticipation. Ever since he found out that Hua-min's chess skills were superb, the old man had been clamoring to play chess every day. Okay, but wait a moment. I have to go next door and give the young master an 4 drip. After speaking, Hua-min returned to the on-call desk. He picked up the medicine that he had prepared and walked towards room 1. At this time, the bodyguard seemed to have gone to eat breakfast. Only one person on duty was left. He was busy sending messages on WeChat and didn't notice Hua-min enter. After knocking on the door, Hua-min pushed the door open and entered. Then, the scene in front of her made her feel extremely awkward. A beautiful woman with a hot body took off her clothes and clung onto Su-yu's body. Her actions were extremely suggestive. Hua-min's sudden appearance shocked the beautiful woman. She immediately pulled her clothes up with a flustered expression. I'm sorry. You guys continue. After speaking, Hua-min turned around and left. Hua-min, get your ass back here. Su-yu yelled loudly. Chapter 210. Hey, this isn't good, is it? Hua-min turned around awkwardly. How could she have known that something like this would happen so early in the morning, especially in a hospital room? Su-yu looked at the beauty beside him impatiently. Get out of here. Young Master Su. The beauty seemed reluctant. Get out of here, stop talking nonsense. The beauty reluctantly put on her clothes with tears in her eyes and walked out. When she passed by Hua-min, she glared at her fiercely. She seemed to be blaming her for ruining her plans. Hua-min glanced at the beauty and muttered to herself, Why does she look so familiar? Is she the host of the travel channel at 8:00 every night? There's a show called Around the World. Are all the bodyguards outside dead? How could they let you in? Su-yu said angrily. It had been a few days since he came to this shitty sanatorium, and he was almost living like a monk. Coincidentally, the female host came to deliver breakfast, so Su-yu wanted to satisfy his craving. However, he didn't expect that damn girl, Hua-min, to bump into him. However, the strange thing was, after Hua-min ruined his plans, Su-yu was no longer in a good mood. No matter how he looked at the woman, he was annoyed, so he immediately kicked her out. When she heard Su-yu's question, Hua-min answered honestly, I saw 3 of them go to eat breakfast, and the last one was texting on WeChat. Based on his state of concentration, he must have fallen in love, so he completely ignored my existence. Su-yu raised his head and glanced at Hua-min. He said angrily, Do you think you're Detective Conan? You're analyzing the case for me. How could my bodyguard not know? Hua-min immediately shut up and didn't say anything else. Come here. Su-yu beckoned her over with his finger. What? Isn't it in 4 drip? Hurry up, I don't want to stay in this damned place any longer. Su-yu was a little impatient. It was rare for young Master Su to take the initiative to ask for an foredrip. Huamin walked over and inserted the needle. Su Yu seemed to have gotten used to Huamin's technique and was no longer resistant to acupuncture. When Huamin was very close to her, he lowered his head and a few strands of his long hair fell down. Su Yu actually wanted to reach out and lift her hair for her. At this moment, Huamin suddenly raised his head. Seeing Death Killer raise his head, he immediately asked defensively, "What are you doing?" She wondered if she had hurt this ancestor and he was going to beat her up. Unexpectedly, Su Yu replied, "Oh, I want to see if your hair is real. Or did you pick it up? What does it have to do with you? What kind of fetish do you have?" Huamin glanced at her cautiously and muttered to himself. His excuse wasn't perfect enough. Su Yu felt quite awkward and immediately changed the topic. "The seaweed rolls from yesterday were pretty good. Go home and make them again today and bring them to me tomorrow." "Why should I?" Huamin crossed his arms and looked at Su Yu. "Because I'm your patient. The hospital doesn't have such a rule. You're so rich that you can get Tripitaka's meat if you want. Why should you eat my seaweed rolls? I think it's delicious. Why do you ask so many questions? You're crazy." Huamin turned around and was about to leave. "Hey, come back. What else do you want?" Huamin turned around. "The weather outside is pretty good. Help me out for a walk." "Your bodyguard did this, didn't he?" Huamian was slightly taken aback, wondering what was wrong with this ancestor. "I'm tired of their beauty. Today, it's your turn." "Me." Huamin was about to refuse when he heard Su Yu say, "This is within the scope of a nurse's job. If you refuse, I'll immediately file a complaint against you." Huamin had no choice but to carefully help Su Yu up. They took the elevator downstairs and arrived at the hospital's back garden. The air outside was indeed very good. The sun was shining brightly. Huamin naturally had to have physical contact with him because he had to support him. Su Yu confidently raised her arms and hugged Huamin's thin shoulders. There was a small gap between the 1.85 meters tall Su Yu and the 1.65 meters tall Huamin. Huamin was about to say that there was a pavilion in front and that they should sit down. Then, she realized that Su Yu had lowered his head and was looking at her chest. Then, the guy said shamelessly, "No wonder you always wear a white coat. It's so small." Chapter 211. In a fit of anger, Huamin suddenly loosened her grip. Su Yu lost his balance and fell to the ground. "Stupid girl, why did you loosen your grip? Are you trying to get me killed? This is called breakdown therapy." Huamin looked at him provocatively, taking revenge for what he said just now. "What kind of lousy therapy is this? I want to complain." Su Yu protested. "Okay, I'll just quit. You make it sound like I don't want to live without this job." "Su Yu, listen to me. I've served you enough. You're not even as easygoing as the old man next door. I'd rather play chess with the old man than give you acupuncture treatment in fear." Humph. With that, Huamin turned and left. Su Yu was alone on the grass. He couldn't get up, and there was no one else nearby. Being left in the hospital's backyard by Huamin and exposed to the sun for 10 minutes, Su Yu was furious. In the end, it was a passing nurse who found out and quickly helped Su Yu back. After he returned to his room, he picked up his phone and immediately wanted to call the person in charge of the rehabilitation center. But when he was about to dial the number, he paused. Huamin was right. At worst, she would just quit. If Huamin left, those stupid nurses would give him acupuncture treatment. They might end up like the first idiot, and he would suffer. After convincing himself, Suyu decided to be magnanimous and forgive the stupid girl this time. But unexpectedly, Huamin took the initiative to say that she wouldn't take care of Suyu anymore. The reason was simple. Not only was he hard to please, but he also took advantage of her from time to time. She couldn't stand it. Take today's incident for example. If Qin Chu knew about it, he would strangle her to death. Although she didn't marry Qin Chu willingly, Huamin thought that she couldn't be too intimate with other men outside. Huamin, don't be like this. If you don't do it, no one else will dare to do it. You are the best candidate. The nurse, Nan, kept trying to persuade her. It won't happen. We have so many nurses here. There must be someone with good skills. Besides, infusion is not difficult. You'll get used to it after a few times. It'll be the same without me. Huamin, did young Master Su make things difficult for you? The head nurse couldn't help but ask. Huamin nodded. Huamin, how about this? I'll give you an extra 500 yuan every day. I'll apply to the higher-ups. Huamin raised her hand and interrupted the head nurse. Head nurse, it's not about money. I just don't want to take care of him anymore. Leave the old man in room 2 to me, or transfer me to the neurosurgery department. I'd rather take care of patients with cerebral palsy. Huamin thought, even taking care of patients with cerebral palsy is better than taking care of Suyu, right? At least patients with cerebral palsy wouldn't be so overbearing and domineering. Although she was a caring nurse, it wasn't like she didn't have a temper. If a tiger didn't show its might, people would think that she was a sick cat. Hearing Huamin's words, the head nurse didn't insist and only nodded. In the evening, a new nurse was transferred to perform the acupuncture. As soon as she walked in, she was kicked out by Suyu. He said, let Huamin do it. Young Master Su, Huamin won't be responsible for your infusion anymore, the nurse stuttered. Why? Suyu coldly glanced at the nurse's frightened face. She said. The nurse was so scared that she didn't know what to say. Are you stuttering? Hurry up and tell me, what did she say? Suyu was about to go crazy. She said that she'd rather go to the neurosurgery department to take care of patients with cerebral palsy than take care of you, young Master Su. After hearing this, Suyu's face immediately darkened. Great, this damned girl, he didn't even hold it against her for leaving him exposed to the sun in the backyard during the day, but she dared to play tricks on him. Chapter 212. Go get your head nurse. Suyu was a little angry. However, when the head nurse, Song Lin, arrived, she only apologized profusely and did not mention anything about Huamin. In the end, Suyu had no choice but to put down his pride and ask, Huamin, that brat, let her take care of me from now on. Don't let other nurses come over, they're as dumb as pigs. What young Master Su was implying was that Huamin was the only one among the nurses who had good skills and that she liked the most. Most importantly, Huamin was not an ordinary nurse. Although she did not have a doctor's license, she was a nurse who could perform cesarean sections on pregnant women. Just from this point alone, one could tell that her medical skills were superb. President Wu was right. With Huamin's current talent, it would be a waste of her talent to be a nurse. However, Wu asked Huamin to be willing. Hearing Suyu ask about Huamin, Song Lin was a little nervous. Young Master Su, I'm sorry, but Huamin, she. No matter what she thinks, just transfer her over. Money is negotiable. Just ask her how much she wants and name a price. Is 100,000 yuan a day enough? Suyu waved his hand, looking like he did not care at all. In fact, he was not confident because he knew that Huamin was not interested in money. Last time, when he used money to buy seaweed rolls, that brat refused to sell. It's not about money, young Master Su. As expected, Song Lin's answer was within his expectations. I don't believe that there's anything in this world that money can't solve. Su Yu's temper flared up and he snorted coldly. Young Master Su, Huamin is different. How is she different? Don't they all have the same nose and bright eyes? She doesn't look good, her chest is pitifully small, and she has a bad temper. There's really nothing special about this kind of woman. Su Yu commented stubbornly. Song Lin smiled and explained, Huamin's way of thinking is different from others. At first, I thought she was like that too, but later on, I realized that she's very strange. She works according to her preferences. Although her performance is outstanding, she can be quite willful at times. Actually, Song Lin was right. Huamin's character aside, his work was indeed outstanding, but his personality was too willful. No matter what she said, Song Lin refused to treat Su Yu as an important person. There were a few times when Song Lin thought that young Master Su would burn down the recuperation center because of his anger. However, not only was Huamin careless, but she also directly refused to take care of Su Yu. Her reason was that she was better at taking care of people with cerebral palsy than him. If Su Yu himself knew about this, he would probably explode. Song Lin didn't know that Su Yu already knew about this classic saying. Although he was furious, he still calmed down and asked Huamin to take care of him personally. That way, he would have more opportunities to interact with Huamin and then take revenge. You're her boss, you can give her a strict order. Su Yu looked at Song Lin and gave her an idea. But if I do that, she'll quit her job. I'll be in a difficult position, young Master Su, what? She'd rather quit than take care of me. Su Yu's strong self-esteem was suddenly hurt. She's probably afraid that if she doesn't take care of you well, she'll be responsible. Young girls these days are very smart and don't want to take on too much responsibility, Song Lin explained gently. Okay, you can leave now. Seeing that Song Lin didn't have a choice, Su Yu waved his hand and didn't want to waste any more time with her. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Did you find anything? Sorry, young master, not yet. Her background is very simple, so I couldn't find anything. Could you be wrong? Su Yu's face immediately darkened. Are you doubting my orders? No, young master, I was just thinking that such an ordinary woman shouldn't have any background. Chapter 213. What do you know? My deductions have never been wrong. What a bunch of useless people. Continue investigating. After hanging up, Su Yu lay on the bed with a complicated look in his eyes. He treated Huamin differently. What piqued his interest was not the argument with her at the hospital, but her background. He did some research and found out that Huamin did not come from a good family. She had a younger brother and a mother. Her stepfather had passed away, and her biological father's identity was a mystery. For such a seemingly ordinary person to be able to turn the tables in an instant under the bombardment of the media and internet trolls, successfully clearing her name and turning her into someone of high status. First of all, the hospital did not have the ability to do such a thing. Second of all, Huamin and Wu Zhongxing were not related in any way. That was very strange. Huamin was just an ordinary woman. What kind of powerful force was secretly helping her deal with the aftermath? Previously, when he saw the news on TV, Su Yu vaguely felt that this little nurse's background was not simple. However, after coming into contact with Huamin, he found out that she was an extremely strange woman. All of this piqued Su Yu's interest. He thought that he had to get to know her better. This was getting more and more interesting. Huamin's refusal to be Su Yu's personal nurse instantly became the biggest news in the Southern Recuperation Center. During lunch at the cafeteria, Huamin became an extremely rare existence in everyone's eyes. Everyone was pointing fingers at her. "Look, you've already become the news of our hospital," Nan Nan said with a smile. Huamin did not say much. She just lowered her head and ate silently. She had already kept a very, very low profile, but she still could not avoid being the subject of gossip wherever she went. Huamian didn't know why, but it was as if it was fated to happen. "Huamin, are you really not going to take care of Suyu?" "Yes." In response to Nan Nan's question, Huamin only responded with a simple, yes. "But if you miss this opportunity, won't you regret it?" Although young Master Su has a bad temper, it's the dream of all the nurses at Southside to be his personal nurse. Do you know how many nurses are jealous of you? If they want to go, then they can go. Why are you jealous? Nonsense, they can't go. Do you think that young Master Su will take a fancy to anyone? By the way, young Master Su treats you quite well. You have given him so many injections, but he has never lost his temper. Do you have any unique skills? Nan Nan asked mysteriously. Huamin looked helpless. He finished the last mouthful of rice on his plate and raised his head to look at the young lady opposite him. "I really don't have that." "Oh. Then it's probably because your technique is good that it doesn't hurt." "Hey, Huamin, teach me, I want to learn from you." "Please, that's the most basic skill. Didn't you learn it in medical school?" Huamin was both angry and amused. Nan Nan had been a nurse for a long time, but she still had to learn from Huamin. Huamin really wondered if she had paid attention in medical school. Why didn't she know the most basic skills? It was fine if she didn't know, but why was such an inexperienced nurse hired by Southside? Was it just because she was good-looking? "Yes, I learned it. But young Master Su is different. He's harder to serve. Please, Huamin." Unable to resist Nan Nan's pleading, Huamin taught Nan Nan some of his acupuncture techniques in the afternoon after he finished taking care of the old man in Ward 2. The young lady went all out and began experimenting on her own arm. In the afternoon, her arm was densely covered with needle marks. After work, Huamin was driving home when his phone suddenly rang. He glanced at it and saw that it was from Ning Ziyuan, so he didn't pick it up. 3 minutes later, he received another text message. It said, "Huamin, I'm getting married to Wu Xiaoxua on the 17th of next month. It's on the 3rd floor of Xingjing Hotel. It starts at 9 a.m. Remember to come and attend." Chapter 2:14. For some reason, Huamin's usual route home was especially congested today. She finally lost her patience and turned around to walk through a small alley. She bypassed the overpass and walked past GK's headquarters. The skyscraper was dozens of stories high, and when it was dark, it would light up with an aqua blue color. It was especially mesmerizing and looked like a water cube. It was said that this building had become the most iconic building in Sea City. What was even more ridiculous was that when tourists came to visit, they would come here to take pictures. It was as if this building had become a famous attraction in Sea City. Huamin once joked with Qin Chu about whether GK should directly develop tourism. Qin Chu stubbornly replied that he didn't have time for that right now and would think about it later. When they passed by Qin Chu's company, the traffic was unexpectedly congested again. Perhaps it was because it was rush hour, so there were too many cars. Bored, Huamin picked up her phone and scrolled through it. Suddenly, an idea popped up in her mind. So, she sent a WeChat message to Qin Chu. "President Qin, I'm downstairs at your company. May I have the honor of having dinner with you?" When Qin Chu saw the WeChat message, he was in the conference room discussing GK's jewelry release plan for the next quarter. Jiang Linyue vividly explained the details of the event. including the prices of a few popular jewelry brands, and the marketing trends after they were released. As soon as Chin-Chu's phone rang, everyone looked over. Chin-Chu only had one person on WeChat, and that was Hua-min. He didn't even add Gao Ran, he just called him if he needed anything. After reading the WeChat message, Chin-Chu quickly stood up and interrupted Jiang Linyue. I have to go out for a bit. You guys continue. President Qin, how can we continue if you leave? Jiang Linyue wanted to cry but had no tears. She prepared for this meeting for 2 whole weeks. She couldn't eat or sleep well because she wanted to perform well in front of the president and receive his praise. Chin-Chu glanced at his assistant. Record the video and send it to my email. I'll watch it when I have time. That's all. After saying that, President Qin turned and walked out of the conference room, leaving more than a dozen executives in the room. Most of them seemed to have gotten used to the new president's style of doing things, although this new CEO would always leave halfway, or be late and leave early, and was unreasonably willful. However, it had to be said that GK's profits were skyrocketing. It was said that last month's profits had surpassed last year's profits. The old chairman even personally visited the company to inspect the company. It was obvious that he was very happy. Hua-min looked at his phone for a long time without receiving a reply. He thought that Chin-Chu was busy, so he didn't think much of it and drove away. Just then, someone knocked on the car window. She turned her head, her face full of shock. Why did you come out? Didn't you ask me out for dinner? Chin-Chu asked seriously. To Hua-min, it was just a joke, but to Chin-Chu, it was the first time Hua-min had asked him out for a meal after 7 years. How could he not come? But are you off work? Hua-min carefully noticed that the lights in the entire building were still on. Perhaps all the departments were still working overtime. Chin-Chu didn't answer. Instead, he walked to the front passenger seat, opened the door, and sat down. He looked at Hua-min and asked, "What are we going to eat? How about Oxan's ramen?" Hua-min asked out of the blue. The truth was, she wanted to eat it herself. "Let's go," Chin-Chu ordered as he pointed at the steering wheel. Therefore, Hua-min's unintentional joke became a reality. Not only did he have dinner with President Qin, but he also had dinner with President Qin. He even had to be his chauffeur. Inside the noodle restaurant, the two ordered ramen and some side dishes and ate with relish. Looking at the students coming and going of Second High, Hua-min suddenly felt that it was good to be young. She ate so happily that she didn't even notice the soup stains on the corner of her mouth. Chin-Chu put down his chopsticks, picked up a tissue, and gently wiped her mouth. Hua-min looked at Chin-Chu and felt like she had traveled back in time to 7 years ago. "You're looking at me so affectionately. I have a feeling that you still love me," Chin-Chu suddenly said. Chapter 2:15. Ahem, that's why I said that you were just imagining things. Hua-min replied awkwardly. Then, she buried her head in her noodles and didn't say anything else. Chin-Chu's eyes were slightly disappointed. He knew that she still had feelings for him, but he didn't think that she wouldn't dare to face it or admit it. This also proved that she still hadn't let go of what happened 7 years ago. So, when would they be able to let go of the knot in their hearts? After dinner, Chin-Chu and Hua-min went home together. Chin-Chu went upstairs to deal with work, while Hua-min went downstairs to change into her home clothes and start cleaning. At 8:30 p.m., Chin-Chu seemed to have finished his work and went downstairs to read the financial news. Hua-min, on the other hand, was holding onto her tablet and watching a TV show. Then, she suddenly remembered something and said, "Oh yeah, Ning Ziyuan called me today, but I didn't pick up. Then, he texted me." "Who's Ning Ziyuan?" Chin-Chu looked up. Hua-min was speechless. Here we go again. This guy always pretended to have selective amnesia in front of people he didn't like. With Chin Chu's intelligence, there was no way he would forget a person's name. He was just being arrogant and pretending not to remember. That's my top-notch ex. Oh, is he trying to get back together with you? Chin Chu asked nonchalantly. Hua Min shuddered. How could that be? He's going to marry Wu Xiaoxue on the 17th of next month. So, you want me to help you steal the bride? Come on, can you be more serious? Hua Min was speechless at Chin Chu's nonsensical answer. Chin Chu glanced at her faintly and continued, if I wasn't serious, would you still be sitting here in perfect condition? Hua Min, who thought of herself as a pure child, immediately understood what he meant. Okay, let's talk about something else. I'm just telling you, I don't plan on going to the wedding. You have to go to the wedding, Chin Chu said as she watched the news. Why? Aren't we going to have to spend money on the wedding gift? I'm not going to do that. Hua Min didn't want to waste a single cent on someone like Ning Ziyuan. No, you have to go, and you have to spend more money, Chin Chu said stubbornly. Hua Mian was speechless when Chin Chu added, I want him to know how rich your husband is. I want him to know that leaving him was the right decision. I want him to know that no matter how hard he works, he'll never be richer than me. I want him to give up on any thoughts of breaking up with me. Hua Min didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chin Chu was so childish. He made it sound like she married him for money. Plus, Ning Ziyuan wouldn't be so stupid as to compete with the president of GK in terms of money, right? The next morning, Chin Chu went to work. Hua Min was on vacation, so she had a lot of free time. She was wondering if she should eat with Lingling or go to school to see Jixin. Just then, her phone rang from an unknown number. Is this Hua Min? A young man's voice came from the other end. That's me. I'm Hua Si, he said. It's you. What's up? Hua Min was quite surprised to hear that it was Hua Si. She had never interacted with him before. Back at her grandmother's funeral, he provoked her, and she retorted back. Both of them didn't get along very well. She knew that SIM cards used real names, so it wasn't hard for Hua Si to get her number. However, this person called her out of the blue. Something bad must have happened. Chapter 216. Dad had a heart attack last night and was hospitalized. He's in the VIP room of the first hospital. Can you come and see him? He wants to see you. I'm not free, that's all. After speaking, Hua Min quickly hung up. What did Hua Zhenghai being sick have to do with her? Didn't he have a bunch of filial sons? There was Hua Xiqian, Hua Si, and that Hua Yanyan. She would be asking for trouble if she went. Plus, he never acknowledged her existence, so why should she go and humiliate herself? What identity would she use to go? What a joke. After the phone call, Hua Min went home for some reason. On the way, she bought some fruits, vegetables, and beef. When she entered the yard, Yang Meirong was playing mahjong with a few neighbors. The atmosphere was quite good. Mian, you're back. Everyone greeted her with a smile. Hua Min smiled and went inside to wash the vegetables and prepare lunch. At noon, when only she and her mother were left in the house, she hesitated for a moment before saying, Mom, Hua Si called me today. He's the boy that Shinjiani gave birth to. He said that Hua Zhenghai had a heart attack and is hospitalized. He wants to see me, but I won't go. I know that a lot of people might say that I'm unfilial and that I don't even care about my own father, but I don't want you to feel bad. I think that you and Jixin are the only family I have left in this life. I can't make you sad. Hua Min's words moved Yang Meirong a little, after hearing this, she didn't speak for a long time. She just ate in silence. After she finished eating, she suddenly said, "Clean up and come with me to the hospital. We're going to see him." Huamin didn't expect her mother's reaction and was slightly surprised. "Mom." Huamin seemed to want to persuade her. "I know what to do, come with me." Then, Huamin cleaned up the dishes and went out with her mother to the first hospital. In the taxi, Huamin didn't say anything. She didn't know what her mother was thinking. Was it because he was sick that her heart softened and she wanted to bury the hatchet and talk about old times with him? Or was it because she saw that he was sick and received his retribution, so she decided to taunt him? But no matter what, Huamin thought, at this moment, she would support her mother unconditionally. No matter how cold and harsh her mother was to her, she at least raised her from a young age and provided for her food and clothing. The grace of raising her was greater than the heavens. She knew this better than anyone else and would always remember it. In the VIP consultation room of the first hospital, news of Hua Xinghai's hospitalization was completely sealed off, so no media outlets knew about it. There were 2 bodyguards at the door. When Huamin and the others arrived at the door, they saw Xinjiani coming out. When she saw Yang Meirong, she smiled meaningfully. "Go in. He's waiting for you." Yang Meirong didn't say anything. She just glanced at Xinjiani coldly and walked in with Huamin. Yang Meirong actually had a good foundation and was quite pretty. It was just that many years of living an ordinary life had worn away all of her beauty. Xinjiani was different. She was about the same age as Yang Meirong, but because she lived in a rich family for many years and ate well, she looked at least 15 years younger than Yang Meirong and had a different aura. When Xinjiani glanced at Huamin, she glanced at her with mockery and disdain. Huamin ignored her and followed her mother into the room. The moment Hua Xinghai saw Yang Meirong, the apple in his hand fell to the ground. "You?" He was a bit shocked. "Mr. Hua, long time no see." Yang Meirong handed her bag to Huamin and sat down on the stool in front of Hua Xinghai with an elegant smile on her face. Chapter 217. Rong. Rong, Hua Xinghai squeezed out the 2 words with a complicated expression. "You haven't been in good health these past few years. I often see news about your illness on the news." Hua Xinghai smiled bitterly. "Yeah, I'm old and useless." Yang Meirong smiled. "How could that be? If you're useless, how could you have a son and a daughter with Xinjiani? Plus, the 2 families have been getting along well these past few years. You're actually quite successful as a person, but you're still a bit lacking as a father. Come, look, our Mian is already 24 years old." Yang Meirong reached out and pulled Huamin forward. Hua Xinghai looked up, and when he saw Huamin, his expression was a bit complicated. Huamin looked very strange. She didn't look like Hua Xinghai at all, nor did she look like Yang Meirong at all. It could even be said that she was more outstanding than the 2 of them. She wasn't like Hui Yanyan, who used money to decorate her face with microplastic surgery and makeup. She just had to wear no makeup, but her aura was enough to overwhelm everyone. Many women were jealous of Hua Xinghai because of his love affairs. Gossip Entertainment once exposed that he kept 6 mistresses at the same time. Many of them had abortions for him, and a few of them were even sent to mental hospitals because of mental disorders. The drama back then was comparable to the harem of the Qing dynasty. Not to mention the scheming, in the end, not many of them came out unscathed. As one of Hua Xinghai's lovers, Yang Meirong was both lucky and unlucky. She was lucky that she gave birth to Huamin and raised him safely. Unfortunately, all these years, Huamin wasn't able to marry into the Hua family. In the eyes of outsiders, Yang Meirong's hopes of marrying into a rich family were dashed, and the gains didn't make up for the losses. However, many years later, it was a blessing to have a sensible daughter. Mian, come here and call him Uncle Hua. He's more than 10 years older than your dad Jing. Yang Meirong's introduction stunned Hua Min. Calling her own father uncle. Teaching her late uncle how to teach her father. His mother was clearly taking revenge. Although she knew it was inappropriate, Hua Min still greeted him obediently. Uncle Hua. Rong, what do you mean by that? Hua Zhenghai felt a little depressed when she called him uncle. It's nothing. I just wanted to say hello. Yang Meirong was still smiling brightly. I know you still hate me. Hua Zhenghai sighed. What's there to hate? Now that I think about it, I have to thank you. Thank you for being so heartless back then and teaching me to let go of my feelings. That's why I always say that people shouldn't talk about feelings, because feelings are nothing in the face of benefits. Even though I didn't have much money these past few years, I've been pretty happy. I have a son, a daughter, and a bunch of kind-hearted neighbors. But your health really isn't good. What's that saying again? It's not the time to take revenge, it's just not the time yet. After Yang Meirong said this, Hua Zhenghai felt even more depressed. I know you hate me, and it's only right that you do. But right now, I want to make it up to you. I know I've let you and Mian down. Rong, I was wrong. Thank you for all these years. Hua Zhenghai was emotional, and his eyes turned red. Don't say that, Mr. Hua. I've been fine all these years, so you don't need to make it up to me. I was the one who raised my daughter, and she has nothing to do with you. Let's forget about our past, but there's one thing I have to tell you, and it's something I'll never forget. Back then, after De got into a car accident, he desperately needed 100,000 yuan for surgery. I begged you in the rain, I kowtowed to you, I knelt before you, but you were so cold that you refused to help him. I often think that 100,000 yuan is nothing to the Hua family, but if you were willing to lend it to me back then, De might not have died. So, you already owe De his life. Hua Zhenghai, you heartless man, you will never have a good ending. I really want to see you die bit by bit, only then will I feel comforted. Yang Meirong said each word with a stern expression, and in the end, she choked with sobs. Mom, stop talking. Hua Min couldn't bear to see his mother so emotional. He knew that she wasn't in good health, so he immediately went up to help her up. Chapter 218. However, if Yang Meirong didn't tell him today, Hua Min wouldn't have known that there was such a story. Rong, I was blinded back then. Maybe I was too jealous of De. He's just my driver, why should he be with you? I don't want anyone else to touch my woman. I was jealous back then, and I know that I've let De down. Hua Zhenghai, who had always been heartless, was now able to face the past and was even repenting. Yang Meirong was also in disbelief. She thought that after she said what she said, Hua Zhenghai would ask the bodyguards to kick them out. What's the point of knowing your mistakes now? De died 7 years ago, I'm afraid there's nothing left of him, Yang Meirong said as she wiped away her tears. Mian, you don't want to forgive Dad either. Hua Zhenghai glanced at Hua Min. Uncle Hua, you must be joking. I'm just a commoner, how can I talk about forgiveness with you? Hua Min's words seemed normal, but they were actually more hurtful. Hua Zhenghai felt extremely sour when he heard Hua Mian call him Uncle Hua. Mian, I'm old, and there are some things that I don't want to regret. Everyone was once young, and everyone made mistakes. I hope to have the chance to repay you. Really, I've already given you shares of the Hua Corporation. As long as you're willing to come back, no need, we don't care about shares. Hua Zhenghai, at this point, do you still think that money can solve everything? Then you can live with your money for the rest of your life. Also, I really hope that after you die, Shinjiani will keep her chastity for you. Otherwise, with how flirtatious she is, I'm afraid that she'll cheat on you after you die. Instead of worrying about us, why don't you worry about your son and daughter and see if they can survive in Jiang Hong's hands? After speaking, Yang Meirong grabbed Huamin's hand and turned around to leave. Hu Xinghai's face was gloomy. After Huamin and Yang Meirong left, Hu Xinghai smashed a vase in the room, spilling water all over the floor. Yang Meirong was amazing. Not only did she have a sharp tongue, she was also able to hit the nail on the head and point out what Hu Xinghai was worried about. He was not in the mood to care about whether Shinjiani would find a man in the future. What he was worried about was whether his precious children would be ostracized by Jiang Hong and Hua Xiqin. In the evening, Hua Xiqin came to visit his father. He held a small knife and peeled an apple for his father. "Dad, eat an apple." Hua Xiqin smiled gently. But who knew what was hidden behind that gentleness? Hu Xinghai knew that nurturing a tiger was inviting calamity. Back then, he had wanted to marry Shinjiani and his son and daughter. He had no choice but to negotiate with Jiang Hong. Jiang Hong adopted a son from her younger sister, Hua Xiqin. Over the years, Hua Xiqin had become his biggest obstacle whenever he wasn't paying attention. Moreover, it was impossible to get rid of him on the surface because on the surface, he was already known as the eldest son of the Hua family. He was famous for being a filial son in the circle. Even if Hu Xinghai wanted to eat fish in the middle of the night, he would still drive the cruise ship out to sea. On the other hand, Hua Si ate, drank, played around, picked up girls, raced, got into fights, and had a bad record. He was already a hopeless person. Even so, Hu Xinghai was still unwilling to let his empire fall into the hands of an outsider. No matter how good Hua Xiqin was, he was not a descendant of the Hua family. Plus, his wild ambitions were obvious. However, it was not time yet, so they couldn't fall out with him. Therefore, they had to maintain this fake father-son relationship. "How's the company?" Hu Xinghai asked as he took the apple. "It's pretty good. I heard that you sent C to the ordering convention in France next month." "Yeah, he's a grown-up now. He needs to take responsibility and slowly manage the company with me." Hua Xiqin was still smiling. However, the more he smiled, the more uneasy Hu Xinghai felt. It was like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any moment. C is still young and reckless. Don't give him big business. He doesn't have the ability to do it for now. He won't, Dad. I think C is very studious these days. I have high hopes for him. Hu Xinghai was speechless. He didn't say anything else and quietly ate the apple. "Dad, I heard that Sister Mian came by today." Hua Xiqin asked casually as he held a sharp fruit knife in his hand. Chapter 219. Hu Xinghai's hand shook slightly as he ate the apple. Then, he sighed and said deliberately, "Sigh, I'm getting old and useless. I can't believe I miss Huamin so much. Yeah, I could tell that she was a good girl at Grandma's funeral." Hua Xiqin smiled. "But that child doesn't seem to want to forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever hear her call me Dad again." Hu Xinghai was a little moved. Hua Xiqin reached out and patted the back of Hu Xinghai's hand, comforting him. "She will. Dad, don't worry, Mian isn't such a heartless person. She'll definitely come back, I promise." "Are you close to Mian in private?" Hu Xinghai asked tentatively. "I really like her as a sister, but she doesn't like me. She won't even greet me when we meet. I don't have a choice. I want to get close to her and take care of her as her brother, but I don't even have the chance." "Oh." Hu Xinghai seemed to be relieved. "What's wrong?" Dad, did Mian say something to you? Nothing. Seeing Hua Xinghai's expression, Hua Xiqian only smiled and didn't say anything else. On the way home, Hua Min took his mother to a mall near their home and bought her autumn thermal underwear and shoes. Yang Meirong kept saying that it was enough and wouldn't buy anything. In fact, Hua Min knew that she was afraid that he would spend too much money. Mom, don't worry, I've already transferred to another job. The salary here is very high, I can support you and Jixin. But you can't spend it recklessly. It's not easy to make money. Yang Meirong sighed. In the end, under Hua Min's insistence, Yang Meirong finally agreed to eat out at a restaurant. She only found a small dumpling restaurant and ordered 2 dumplings and a small side dish. Mom, what you said today, was it true? Back then, did you really beg that heartless man for Uncle Jing's sake? Yeah, I was at my wit's end back then, and I was holding on to the last glimmer of hope. Then you went there today to taunt and humiliate him, right? Have you vented your anger now? Hua Min put a dumpling on his mother's plate. I can only vent my anger if he dies. The hatred between us is too deep. But Mian, remember, I won't stop you. If you still care about our father-daughter relationship, you can go and see her. You are you, and I am me. I know the difference between us. Mom, do you think he really wants to make it up to me? Hua Min asked again. He doesn't look like he's faking it. I've never seen him cry in all the years I've known him. Today, his eyes are red. Perhaps he's afraid that he won't be able to hear you call him Dad in the end. Yang Meirong sighed. Hua Min looked at his mother and took a bite of the side dish. Then, he said slowly, Mom, that's why I said that you're still too naive. He saw through your weakness. You don't think he's sincere? Yang Meirong was a bit surprised. Hua Min sneered. Haven't you heard of a type of tear called crocodile tears? Today, he deliberately put on a show for us to see. He doesn't really want to beg for our forgiveness. He just wants to rope us in. Like I said, he wants us to get involved in the Hua clan's fight, then stand on his side and help him protect his son and daughter. But, what if you guessed wrong? You didn't wrongly accuse him. Yang Meirong thought back to what just happened and felt that Hua Xinghai's emotions weren't fake. There's no way I guessed wrong. Who is he? Aside from the fact that he used to be your man, my father. He's a huge business tycoon. Do you think a person like him hasn't seen anything? Why would he care about love? He hasn't looked for us all these years. Now that the Hua family is in a civil war, he suddenly has a conscience and wants to acknowledge me as his daughter. At the end of the day, he saw through human nature's weakness. When Grandma passed away, he asked me to go back home to pave the way for a dark relationship. Mom, I'm not you. I won't be used. You're too stupid, and that's why you ended up in this tragedy. I'll show you his true colors. I'll also let him know that he's not the only one who's heartless. His scheme won't succeed, and he won't acknowledge me as his daughter. After speaking, Hua Min lowered her head and ate the dumplings, one bite at a time. Yang Meirong was dumbfounded. She knew too little about her daughter's thoughts. Sometimes, she even wondered if Hua Min was really her daughter. Why was she so smart? She was so smart that it was scary. At 8:00 in the evening, Wei Yanyan drove Shinjiani's sports car to the hospital room. As soon as they entered the room, Wei Yanyan impatiently asked, Dad, how did it go? Did those 2 idiots believe your act today? Did Hua Min agree to come back and inherit the shares to help me and my brother? Chapter 220. It's hard to say, I'm not sure what they're thinking yet. Hua Xinghai wasn't sure either. Hua Min and Hua Mian believed him. Shinjiani walked over and held Hua Xinghai's hand with a gentle gaze. Xinghai, thank you for your hard work. It's all for the kids, what are you talking about? Where's C? He's still preparing for his overseas work trip next month. I can tell that he's working very hard. Shinjiani tried her best to beautify Hua Xi's abilities in front of Hua Xinghai. Hua Xinghai nodded and didn't say anything else. He really loved Shinjiani and her children. Even though Hua Xi was a good-for-nothing and Hua Yanyan was arrogant and willful, he still thought of them as his real children. As for Hua Min, he always had a disgusting thought in his heart. He thought that Hua Min's daughter was unclean. After Yang Meirong got pregnant and failed to force her to abdicate, he hoped that she would obediently give birth to his child. Who would have thought that she would run away with his lowly driver, Jingde, and even start a family of her own? Therefore, Hua Xinghai always thought that Yang Meirong had an affair with Jingde when she was pregnant with Hua Min. Therefore, even if it was his own child, he couldn't bring himself to like it. This was also the reason why he didn't care about the mother and daughter all these years. After walking out of the first hospital's room, Hua Yanyan complained, "Mom, when is my dad going to stop pretending to be sick? He's not sick at all, why does he have to pretend that he's sick? If it weren't for Hua Min's help, would my brother and I really be in danger? What if she took the shares and didn't help, or helped Hua Xiqin deal with us? I heard that auntie went to Hua Min before. Do you think your dad is stupid?" Of course he wouldn't think of that. Although the shares were given to Hua Min on the surface, she doesn't have the right to use them or sell them. Plus, those shares are tied to yours, which means that as long as she returns to the Hua family and inherits the shares, she has no choice but to stand on our side. Will she take the bait? Hua Yanyan was a little worried. That share is worth hundreds of millions. What do you think? Shinjiani was sure that Hua Min would take the bait because of money. In her eyes, no one could resist the temptation of money. For a 24-year-old girl who was afraid of being poor, a 24-year-old girl who had no experience in life, that amount of money could really be spent for a few lifetimes. Why would she not agree? If Hua Min agreed to help them, would the money really go to Hua Min? The answer was no. How could Shinjiani let Hua Min get the money that belonged to her children? Asking Hua Mian to come back and help was just a delaying tactic. She wanted Jiang Hong to lose control of the situation. Hua Min still had to get out of the Hua family. Unfortunately, they did not know that their wishful thinking seemed to be too perfect. Hua Min was not that easy to deal with. Even if Hua Min comes back, our chances of winning are not very high. Mom, Hua Xiqin is very scary. We have to think of another way. You know how scary Hua Xiqin is. I told you to find a rich and powerful family to marry into and support us. While Hua Xiqin is not married and does not have the support of his father-in-law's family, we should take the opportunity to strike first. Hua Yanyan immediately pouted. Mom, marriage is the most important thing in a lifetime. I don't want to be hasty. Now you're pretending to be reserved with me. Haven't you always liked Suyu? Don't you want to marry into the powerful Su family? Shinjiani asked her daughter. Chapter 221. Of course I want to, but Suyu has too many women around him. I don't have an advantage over him. Hua Yanyan lowered her head, looking unconfident. Yanyan, it's not that I'm pressuring you, but from the moment you were born into the Hua family, you didn't have the right to talk about freedom of marriage. Your marriage should only be based on benefits. Don't talk about love. Yanyan, you're still young. When you're my age, you'll understand, Shinjiani advised earnestly. Mom, none of the men in my circle are good. All of them treat relationships like child's play. I really don't want to be married to them, but Suyu is different. Although he has many women, he doesn't care about any of them. Those women are like clothes to him. He doesn't have any feelings for them. He's handsome and rich. I want to be the princess that everyone looks at. More than that, I want to be Soo-Yu's favorite, just like how Dad loved you back then. So many socialites were looking forward to the Soo family. No matter how bad-tempered Soo-Yu was, there were still countless women who were willing to bow down to him. Hui Yanyan especially liked Soo-Yu's looks and arrogant personality. However, Soo-Yu didn't even care about her. She didn't have a chance to get close to Soo-Yu. Shinjiani thought about it and said, "The Soo family is great, but young Master Soo isn't easy to get close to. He's unpredictable. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to carry out this plan. How would I know if I don't try? I have a few girlfriends who hang out with Soo-Yu's buddies all day long. I'll always find a way to make him interested in me. Also, I'm different from those women. I'm clean and have no negative news. Once Soo-Yu is interested in me, I'll strike while the iron is hot. Not only do I want to be with Soo-Yu, but I also want to marry him and get the support of the Soo family. Isn't the Soo family a family with only one son? I just want to get pregnant with Soo-Yu's child. That would be for the best." Shinjiani nodded approvingly. They only cared about their own sweet dreams. They didn't even think about the fact that Soo-Yu would never marry Hui Yanyan. Even if he was willing to marry her, Hui Siqian would not agree. He would not allow himself to have such a strong opponent. Moreover, Soo-Yu still didn't know who Hui Yanyan was. Not to mention having Soo-Yu's child. If Huamin were here, she would definitely say, "Hui Yanyan, aren't you overthinking things?" Huamin had planned to spend time with her mother during her vacation. After shopping for a day, she bought some things and ate with her mother. In the end, the mother and daughter took the bus back home. "Mian, why don't you stay over tonight? I'll make you some handmade noodles with mushroom and meat sauce," Yang Meirong emphasized. Handmade noodles with mushroom and meat sauce was her mother's specialty. It was delicious. She made it every time when she was little. Every time she made it, she would eat 3 big bowls. Jixin would also fight to eat, afraid that it wouldn't be enough. Hearing her mother's words, Huamin was slightly touched. She was about to agree to stay over tonight and spend time with her. Just then, she received a call from the hospital. "Mom, something came up at the hospital. I'll go back and see you another day." "Okay, be careful." Yang Meirong reluctantly watched her daughter leave. After today's incident, she realized that her daughter didn't have it easy. She was unmoved by the Huo family's wealth. She felt very comforted to be on the same side as her. When they arrived at Southside Recuperation Center, Huamin didn't even have time to change and went straight to room 2. "Uncle Lu, why didn't you listen? Didn't you say that you can't eat sweets? You have high blood sugar and high blood pressure, and you're still recovering. You have to pay attention to your diet." "I just ate a little bit of honey." Uncle Lu looked wronged. Chapter 222. Do you know how much sugar is in honey? I'm not trying to scare you, but if you don't take care of yourself, you'll die. I know. The old man nodded and didn't dare to talk back. Huamin injected insulin into the old man's stomach. Then, she reminded him about his diet and threatened him, "If you don't listen to me, I won't play chess with you anymore. You can stay here by yourself. I'll listen to you." The old man was like a child, and his words were childish. After comforting the old man in room 2, Huamin walked out and stretched. Coincidentally, Soo-Yu was walking out for rehabilitation with the help of the bodyguards. When Soo-Yu saw Huamin, he was about to speak, but Huamin turned her face away and didn't even look at him. This made him angry and frustrated, but because of his pride, he couldn't talk to her. Young Master Su, what do you want to eat tonight? I'll ask the chef to prepare it, the nurse, Nan Nan, carefully walked over and asked. Su glanced at Huamin, who was sitting at the on-call desk, and said, I want to eat seaweed rolls. Seaweed rolls. Nan Nan was slightly surprised. Huamin didn't respond. Instead, she got up, grabbed her phone and keys, and walked out. Nan Nan, I'm leaving now. Uncle Lu's condition is stable now. Just pay attention to his diet. Okay. Then, Huamin walked out. When Huamin walked past, Su childishly stuck out his foot. He wanted to trip her on purpose, however, Huamin seemed to have noticed this small movement. After Su stuck out his foot, she stepped on it without hesitation. Ah, you stepped on. Young Master Su cried out in pain before he could finish his sentence. Huamin glanced at him coldly. Su, how old are you? Su's face immediately darkened when he heard this. If you're an adult, please, don't do such boring things. Doing these things will only lower your IQ. It's not good for your brain development. Nan Nan, go and report this to the head nurse. The patient in room 1 not only has a problem with his legs, but he also seems to have some mental problems. After speaking, Huamin walked out of the door in a carefree manner. Nan Nan secretly observed young Master Su. She noticed that his facial expression kept changing and he looked really good. Young Master Su, do you still want more seaweed rolls? Nan Nan asked carefully. Do I look like a seaweed roll to you? Su asked snappily. Nan Nan was so scared that she dared not make a sound. The bodyguards didn't dare to move either. They were as helpless as robots. Su took a deep breath and finally suppressed his anger. Come here, help me back. Su waved at the bodyguards and walked back to his room. If she didn't see it with her own eyes, Nan Nan wouldn't have believed that Su was so calm when Huamin mocked him. He wasn't angry, he didn't complain, and he didn't smash Huamin's head with a glass bottle. Could it be that Huamin was really Su's natural nemesis? Everything had its nemesis. Even the head nurse, Song Lin, was shocked by this. Because of this, they were even more polite to Huamin. No matter what kind of patient he was, he would always be able to make them obedient. Because Huamin threatened to not play chess with him, the old man in room 2 took the initiative to eat light food and didn't dare to steal any more food. Huamin worked at Southside Recuperation Center for less than half a month, but he became famous. Gradually, news of him spread. Su lay on the hospital bed and thought about what just happened. He wasn't angry anymore, and instead, he smiled. Ever since he was young, this was the first time someone said that he had a problem with his IQ. Huamin was the first. He turned on his phone and searched for the video that Huamin talked about in front of the first hospital a while ago. The young girl, who didn't have any makeup on, faced tens of thousands of reporters and calmed down the doctor-patient controversy with just a few words. For some reason, Su found her expressionless face and melodious voice very special. In the end, the video stopped at Huamin smiling slightly at the media. Su paused the video and looked at the video on his phone. The corner of his mouth twitched. Hua. Mian Emichim, very good. My life will become more colorful because of your appearance. I'm looking forward to it. When Huamian returned to Imperial Park, Qin Chu was already back because the light in the study upstairs was on. Huamin took off his jacket and made a cup of coffee. He knocked on the door and asked with a smile, Hey, President Qin, would you like some coffee? Chapter 223. As soon as Qin Chu turned his head and saw Huamin, his gaze softened. I don't need coffee, can I have tofu instead? Qin Chu's jokes were always so serious. Huamin immediately walked in, blushing. He placed the coffee next to Chin Chu's mouse and poked his head with his finger. How can you be so relaxed when you're focused on work? You're not very good at being the president of GK. Didn't you say on WeChat that you were staying there? Hua Min nodded. That was my plan, but something came up at the hospital, so I had to go back. It was pretty late by the time I finished, and my mom goes to bed early. I didn't want to wake her up, and I have to work tomorrow as well. Emisham, have you eaten? I did. I had a working meal at the hospital. What about you? I haven't eaten yet. I'm not that hungry, President Chin said as he looked at the information on his computer. Hua Min stood beside him, curiously looking at the information on his computer. There were 3 pictures of rings. Perhaps it was because they weren't finished yet, so they weren't that pretty. Hua Min looked at them seriously, and Chin Chu naturally placed his hand on Hua Min's waist, gently hugging her. Then, he smelled her unique scent, and for some reason, his mood improved. These are the rings that GK will be releasing next month. Pick one out of the 3, which one do you think is the best? Chin Chu asked. I'm not an expert, you can choose. Hua Min smiled. I trust your taste, pick for me. After looking at them all night, Chin Chu felt a headache coming on. The 3 designs were designed by 3 different people. The first design was a crescent-shaped ring with stars inside, designed by Jiang Linyue. It was called Stars Embrace the Moon. All young girls would like this dreamy design. The second design was submitted by a young design director from the southern branch of GK. It was a tear-shaped ring, romantic and sad at the same time. It was called The Devil's Tears. The third design was in the shape of a burning flame. The craftsmanship was more complicated, but it was more breathtaking. This bold design was made by a new designer from the overseas headquarters. Among the tens of thousands of works a while ago, there were 3 that stood out. As the CEO, Chin Chu had to personally select a flagship product and then officially launch it on the market. After a night of reading, each of the 3 works had its own advantages and disadvantages, so he had been hesitant. Since Hua Min had just returned, he asked for her opinion. Hua Min bent over in front of the computer and looked at it seriously. He said, then I'll comment. Don't laugh at me. Chin Chu unconsciously tightened his arms around Hua Min's waist, as if he was afraid that she would run away. The first design is a bit old-fashioned, but there's nothing wrong with going old-fashioned in jewelry. After all, it's very expensive. Consumers don't dare to try new styles, so many people choose old-fashioned styles conservatively. The pattern of the moon and stars is very dreamy. Young girls will like it. It's more popular. President Chin nodded. Hua Min continued, the second design is more interesting. The designer is probably an artist, and his work vividly reflects the sadness in his heart. However, not many people can understand it. The tears are melancholy, and broken tears represent endless sadness. After the work is released, it should be beautiful, but many people don't understand it and probably won't buy it. It's not something so interesting, but it would be a pity if it wasn't released. I think you can make a few of them and sell them as limited editions. Chin Chu nodded approvingly, not bad, continue. I personally like the last design very much. The design is very bold, and the style is very stunning. However, such a complicated design should be very difficult to make by hand. If the price is too high, consumers might not buy it. In the end, they can only look at it from afar and not buy it. So, I suggest that you let a model wear this design first to promote it. The design can also be put in the store for exhibition. Once a customer wants to spend money to reserve it, you can make it after receiving the deposit. Overall, the first design is definitely suitable for the general public, and the last 2 designs are luxury goods that are more focused on quantity rather than quantity. Chapter 224. I was thinking the same thing, but the first one is too old-fashioned. With GK's current status, I think the industry will laugh at us if our new products are too unoriginal. As a businessman, profit is important, but so is reputation. So, I plan on promoting the third one. The second one is like what you said, it will be a limited edition. As for the first one, it will be used as a cheap piece of jewelry and will do some promotions to attract the public's attention. Huamin nodded in agreement. Qin Chu's ideas were always right. I'm suddenly hungry, I want to eat something. Qin Chu looked at Huamin eagerly, the hand on his waist becoming restless. If you're hungry, tofu alone won't fill you up. Huamin smacked his hand away and replied with a smile. Tofu fills me up, I like it, Qin Chu protested. His eyes were also filled with resentment. To his surprise, Huamin nodded. We do have a piece of tofu in the fridge, I'll make it for you. Then, Huamin turned around and went downstairs. Qin Chu looked at her helplessly. Tofu wasn't tofu at all. She clearly understood what he meant, but she pretended not to. What kind of woman did he marry? She looked like a little rabbit, but was actually more cunning than a fox. Half an hour later, Huamin called Qin Chu over for dinner. They made mushroom meat, vegetable and tofu soup, and 2 egg pancakes. Needless to say, Huamin's cooking immediately whetted Qin Chu's appetite. The two sat down across from each other, and Huamin poured him a glass of water and handed it to him. Qin Chu began to eat with relish. Wu Zhenghai is sick, my mom and I went to visit him today. Yeah. He wanted me to go back and said that he left me some shares. I think he couldn't handle Huasichen and couldn't control the situation, so he had to think of me. He even put on a pitiful act in front of my mom. Your mom must have believed it, right? Qin Chu guessed. Yeah, she's a little soft-hearted. She's a woman, after all, so she seemed a little moved. But after listening to my analysis, she believed my conjecture. Hu Zhenghai is definitely only looking for us for benefits. I won't be deceived by his lies. He's really capable of doing all this. All these years, he didn't care about you at all. In the end, he still wants to use you. It's really strange to have such a father. Qin Chu really disliked the Hu family because they didn't treat Huamin well. Anyone who treated Huamin badly would always be Qin Chu's enemy. Yes, so my attitude this time is very clear. Even if he calls me father, I will not help him. Qin Chu chuckled. His wife was sometimes very cute when she spoke, wasn't she? What are you laughing at? I'm talking business with you. Is this the time for you to laugh? Huamin was speechless. So, honey, you've been working so hard all day, yet you still have to worry about these things. Should I do something for you? Do what? For example, give you a full-body massage to help you relieve your tiredness. Or, let's do some meaningful exercise to help you forget about these troubles for a while. Huamin was extremely embarrassed by Qin Chu's explicit words. I don't need a full-body massage. You can give me more money. With more money, I won't be tempted by Hu Zhenghai's bullshit shares. Then, all of his schemes won't succeed. I have an idea. What is it? Huamin looked up at Qin Chu, wondering what he was up to. Chapter 225. You can work at GK, and I'll give you the position of Executive Vice President. You can join the board of directors and own GK's shares, making all the other shareholders pale in comparison. That's true, 1% of GK's shares is worth many times more than 10% of the whole corporation's shares. I believe you. So, do you want to work? Yes, I'm very sincere in hiring you. What do you think of an annual salary of 50 million yuan? Wouldn't it be bad if people found out that you pulled strings for your wife? Hua Min laughed. You're already my wife, why would I need to pull strings? Yeah, so, instead of being executive vice president, you should just be a young lady at GK. It's more relaxing and you'll get paid, Hua Min joked. Chin Chu didn't say anything else. He knew that Hua Min wouldn't work at GK. He was just teasing her. After dinner, Hua Min went upstairs to shower. When she came out, she looked at her phone and saw a text message. She opened the message and was dumbfounded. Your ICBC account number is 1040, and you've transferred 50 million yuan. Your balance is 53,006,000 yuan. 53 million yuan. She knew that 3 million yuan was the one that Chin Chu asked the finance department to transfer to her every month. But what was with this 50 million yuan? She immediately got up and walked out of the door to see Chin Chu reading the financial news downstairs. Did you just transfer money to my account? It wasn't me. That's impossible, Hua Mian refused almost immediately. Such a huge sum of money, who else could it be but him? Didn't you want to go against the Hua Corporation? I'll transfer some money to you to calm you down. Are you kidding me? It's too much, I don't want it. Take it. If your husband goes bankrupt, you can use it to help me make a comeback, Chin Chu said as he sipped on his tea, as if 50 million yuan was as simple as 500 yuan. So, there really was a man who could willfully give his wife tens of millions of yuan. Hua Min was confused. Was she a rich woman now? Chin Chu suddenly gave her so much money, and the reason was so good that it was hard for her to refuse. She suddenly thought of something and posted it on her WeChat friend circle. She wrote, if a woman follows you and she's after money, give her enough money and she won't get angry and make a scene because you're with another woman. If a woman pursues feelings, you should give her enough love and security. She won't look down on you because you don't have money. If you can't give her money and love, but you want her to tolerate your laziness and lies, then I'm sorry, what you need is not a girlfriend, but a retard. As soon as she posted it, Zhu Lingling immediately liked it. Then, a phone call came in. Girl, not bad. I feel that your words are meant for me. I've benefited a lot. You're overthinking it. I saw it on Weibo and thought it would be fun, so I posted it, Hua Min explained. I know, I was just kidding. You've been busy lately, haven't you been on WeChat? Yeah, after I got transferred to South Side, there's been a lot of messy stuff going on. Let's have a drink some other day. No problem, but you can't let Chin Chu know, he'll strangle me. I won't strangle you, but don't worry, I have a better way to deal with you. Chin Chu walked into the bedroom without Hua Min noticing. Hua Min was so scared that she immediately hung up the phone. Mr. Chin, eavesdropping on other people's calls is not a good habit. Then you going out for drinks behind my back is a good habit? Chin Chu crossed his arms and leaned against the door as he looked at Hua Min. Hua Min immediately felt guilty. I was just brushing Lingling off. Oh, brushing off your friends is a good habit, Chin Chu said on purpose. Hua Min was immediately speechless. She thought for a moment and slowly walked over. She wrapped her arms around Chin Chu's neck and said coquettishly, my dear Mr. Chin, if I kiss you, will you let me go out for drinks? Before Chin Chu could respond, Hua Min raised her head and kissed him. This time, she kissed Chin Chu's lips again. Chin Chu's first reaction was, Hua Min, you're crazy, you know. Chapter 226. Chin Chu never thought that Hua Min would take the initiative to kiss him, so his brain didn't react in time. By the time he realized what was going on and wanted to kiss her back, the kiss had already ended. Hua Mian let go of him and licked the corner of her lips, looking even more seductive. Boss Chin, so can I go out for a drink with Lingling now? Huamin looked at Qin Chu eagerly. Your honey trap is quite ruthless. Qin Chu looked at Huamin's face and said word for word. Huamin immediately started laughing. Did that woman Zhu Lingling teach you that? Qin Chu was suspicious. Do you think her IQ is higher than mine? Huamin asked back. Qin Chu didn't say anything. Qin Chu. Yeah. Can we go out for a drink? I won't drink too much, just a few glasses, okay? Huamin acted coquettishly for the first time. Her voice was soft and fluffy, and Qin Chu's heart almost melted when he heard it. Ever since last time, he clearly saw Huamin's alcohol tolerance, so he was determined not to let her get drunk again. However, this was the first time this girl acted coquettishly. She kissed and hugged him, so he really couldn't bring himself to do it. In the end, after staring at each other for a long time, Qin Chu was defeated. Okay, but it can't be like last time. Qin Chu didn't forget to warn her. Okay. Huamin nodded obediently. After receiving Qin Chu's approval, Huamin immediately felt much better. Do you want to go out now? He looked at his watch and saw that it was already quite late. No, Lingling said another day. Okay, try to go out during the day. Don't go out at night, I'm worried. After the two discussed the conditions, they both went to bed. The next morning Huamin drove to the office. Just as he finished punching in his card and was about to start work, he heard his colleague say, Huamin, someone is looking for you. Huamin was a little puzzled. Who would be so insensible to come to her when she was at work? He saw a fiery red dress and 7-inch red stilettos. She was flirtatious and high-profile. Hui Yanyan. Huamin frowned slightly. Sure enough, the woman turned her head. Her long hair was draped over her shoulders, and she was wearing exquisite makeup. Hui Yanyan was from the Hu family. Although she was dressed too ostentatiously, she still had an aura about her. Huamin, let's talk. But I'm working, Huamin replied coldly. She really disliked the Hu family. Your job doesn't make much money. You can take an hour off, and I'll pay you 3 times your salary, Hui Yanyan said arrogantly. She picked up her Louis Vuitton handbag, took out a dozen bills, and asked arrogantly, is this enough? Huamin really wanted to slap her in the face and tell her that she had more than 50 million in savings in her bank account, so why the hell did she have to pretend to be so arrogant? However, Huamin wouldn't do that, because she wasn't someone who didn't have manners. I don't need the money. If you have something to say, just say it. Long story short, we're all busy, Huamin looked at Hui Yanyan and said slowly. This isn't a good place, let's go somewhere else, Hui Yanyan suggested as she looked at the busy entrance. So, Huamin brought her to the back garden of the hospital. Say it. Huamin didn't hold back at all. My dad's sick, you know that, right? Hui Yanyan kept emphasizing that she was using her dad's name, as if she was afraid that Huamin didn't know who she was. Get to the point. Huamin was a little impatient. The point is that my dad's not in good health. He cares about his father-daughter relationship with you, so he wants you to come back to our house. You don't have to live with us, but you have the right to inherit a portion of my dad's shares. You know that those shares are very valuable, and even if I explain it to you, you might not understand. All you need to know is that my dad is being very kind and wants to give you a chance to get rich. In order to repay my dad's kindness, you have to stand on the same side as us and fight against Wasichen, understand? Why should I? Huamin looked at Hui Yanyan provocatively. Because you want to help us with the shares. There's no free lunch in this world. But I don't want those shares, and I definitely won't help you. What? Are you kidding me? You don't want those shares. Idiot, do you know how much those shares can be sold for? Hui Yanyan shouted in a sharp voice.